Okay, now let's deal with transformations first. With BW on HANA, generally we have different types of transformation like direct mapping, constant routine, formula, all this stuff, right? Suppose you also can implement ABAP code when you want to do some complex transformation like start routine, end routine, export routines, or field level routines. Okay. Generally, what happens when you have a standard transformations like normal, yeah, if you see this, see, I've just got direct mappings of all this. Then you see this checkbox. What is this? Now when you have this checkbox enabled, it means the transformations can be executed into transformations can be pushed down into HANA database. So when you have standard transformations implemented, these transformations can be pushed down into HANA. So the transformations are executed by HANA engine and it is very fast. You cannot really enable the checkbox by yourself. It has to be by the system. For example, if you see this, it is not yet enabled here. You can just say, what it said, data store object so and so not supported. Now this cannot be pushed down. You can just click this button to check whether these transformations can be pushed down to HANA or not. Suppose let's say I wanted to write some complex routine, where I'm doing some lookup or something. Then when I write with ABAP, these transformations cannot be pushed down deep into HANA database. So the question is, let's say I would like to implement some complex routine or complex logic for feeding some fields or whatever it is. But still I want to push down the logic deep into HANA database so that the performance of my transformations is fine. So this kind of concept, like say you have got BW with some relational database, non-HANA, and you migrated it to HANA database. Now once it is migrated, you basically start loading. Now you find some problem explicitly with some transformation. Let's say there are some 2-3 loads which is really taking a lot of time. And then when you analyze those DTP, you feel that most of the time is spent at the transformations. So those transformations will be the point of focus to do some tuning on to improve that particular loading performance. So when I have some complex ABAP logic implemented, which it is not, so when you have complex ABAP logic, it is not pushing down into HANA bus and it's not improving the performance. So there's no effect from the HANA. So what I need to do is I need to convert that ABAP code as part of scripting and push down the transformations deep into HANA database and improve the performance. That's the point of focus. That is what we're looking at. Okay. Before we go with the same, I have this BW modeling tools perspective. I use this BW project to work on BW aspects, right? Same way, you'll have another perspective called what? ABAP. We use this perspective when you want to work on ABAP specific. It could be, you might be working on ABAP in BW or ECC, whatever it is. If you want to work on ABAP perspective, we use ABAP perspective when you want to work on ABAP development with respect to any of the SAP application, because all SAP applications does support you ABAP development. So if I go in here and I say drop down, what type of project do we create here? ABAP project, and then we can start working on ABAP. Now I'll go to ABAP project. I want to work on ABAP with this BW system, or otherwise you can select ECC depending on your requirement. I go with this. Here I can change my name, my ABAP project. Okay, and you see, if you expand this, you start seeing. If it is BW project, you start seeing what info areas. If it is ABAP project, you start seeing all packages first. And under this package, you can start creating any of this. As new, you can create ABAP class interface or ABAP program. Or other, if you go get it other, you see lots of stuff. You can create some dictionary, like you can create your lock object, domain, data element, structure, table type, view. Whatever you can do in SC11, you can create it from here. You can go with the say source library, you can create ABAP class, ABAP program, interface, function group, function model, include program, you can create all those stuff. And a web Pro components, anything can be created from here, from ABAP perspective. That is your ABAP project and ABAP perspective. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. So this is how we can and if you get into favorites, you'll have $TM. You can add any favorite, like while creating project, we had an option of adding that. For example, if you when you basically creating this project here, you can basically add the packages what you want. Say why BW I want it as I want that to be shown under favorite package, so it is easy for me to refer to that. So this will be added as my package into my favorites. అలాగే ఏదైనా తీసుకోవచ్చు. Okay, boss. But for me, by default, only $TMP is in my favorite packages. But everything, all my ABAP components are organized by package here. Okay. So even in the ABAP perspective, you can start working on ABAP components here. Okay. I'm just taking some source object and target object, and let's see. Okay. Then okay. See, I will take it a simple requirement now. I've got a source field information as contract, and it is feeding to what? Contract, offer element. All these are direct mappings, no issues. But for count, if I just say check now, I'll have to activate this. Now, does it start pushing this into HANA? Yes. But let's say I have simple requirement. For counter, I don't want to take it from the source. I just want to feed it with default as 1 for every record. I know I can do that with constant, but I'll write a simple routine. I'll say what? Result equal to 1. And whatever you assign it result, that will be getting into my target field. Now let me just activate. Look at this checkbox. Now, does it push this into the HANA bus? So are these transformations being processed by HANA engine? No. So then obviously you'll see a difference in the performance. Let's say if this is the case, and I've got some complex routine and transformations are really taking a lot of time, and I would like to speed up the transformations by implementing SQL scripting expert routine and execute them in HANA engine. So that's the point of focus. Okay. This is a requirement. And all these are direct mapping from the source. Counter matram is the requirement. One. This is one set of transformation. Rule group, if you go to technical rule group, you see the mapping of what? Record mode. So I need to write some routine which takes care about mapping of rules in fields in standard group as well as what? Technical group. Record mode mapping కూడా మనమే handle చేయాలి. Okay. Do you know about expert routine in ABAP? Where you'll have source package, result package. You basically source package is one internal table, result package is one internal table. All the data which is coming from source would be in what? Source package. You start consider those records, manipulate whatever you want, and append it to what? Result package. And the records what you append it to result package will be getting into target and the export routine, right? Same way, when you want to implement your scripting, see here, if you go to edit and say routines, you have export routine, start routine, and these all are relevant to ABAP. But you have one more. What is SAP and expert script routine? SAP and expert. So you're going to write an export routine. Export routine time it will be one routine which will take care about mapping of every target fields, right? So it's going to create an export routine which will involve scripting into it. Okay, now click on this. And so what? Yes. Normally when you have export routine, there's no field level mappings. It will be all one routine which takes care about mapping every target field. So when I say create export routine, okay, export script routine, it is automatically creating one what? What is this creating? It is automatically creating one class. Okay. Oops. Okay. It is automatically creating a class, and it's creating one, and it's got one method. What is this? Procedure, ABAP method, and this procedure. If you get inside the procedure, it is automatically created an ABAP class, and it will have a method where method is declared as method name is what? Procedure, and the method is declared as an HDB procedure scripting. Look at this method procedure by database procedure of HDB HANA database language scripting means what? With that statement, it is declared a method in a class where the method is going to contain scripting as a body, not the ABAP code. This is called as ABAP managed database procedures. So the outer cover is ABAP, but internally all the logic is being implemented with what? Scripting. So it automatically creates one ABAP class with the method, which is where the method of the method is declared as an method declared where it is going to contain scripting into it. So with this statement, by what? Database procedure for HDB language SQL script options with read only. With this, it understands the body of this scripting is going to be body of this method is going to be SQL script. When you go inside, it automatically have two declarations. One is in tab, one is what? Out tab. In case of normal exported, how do we have source package, result package bus? Same way, by default, your coding will by default have two temporary tables. You know temporary tables? In scripting, we use temporary. Same way, we have temporary table in tab and what? Out tab. All the data what is coming from the source would be in what? In tab. You actually have to do a select onto that in tab and read the data as per your requirement and assign it to what? Out tab. My coding would be something like out tab is equal to select so and so, so and so, so and so, so and so, so and so from what? In tab. And if you go down, and it is where before this end method you start writing your scripting. But in the SAP UI, GUI, you can't write scripting into this method. You have to get into ABAP perspective in HANA modeling and edit this. You can't edit here. Okay. Let's say back. Remember this class. What is 5LY, right? Now let me go to my what is this here? My ABAP. I'm in which perspective? ABAP perspective. I've opened my ABAP project. If I go to by default, that will be $TMP. I'll go to $TMP, expand, source library, classes. I should see my class here. 5LY. Is this class 5LY? Double click on this class. When I open this class, same, you see the same thing. This is a class declaration. If you go down, you see this. What is this? You see a method in this class where it says method so and so procedure of script read only, and I've got in tab what are all these fields? These are the field names in what? in tab. Okay. Can I say that is structure of in tab? And then this is what your structure of your out tab. And then before the send method, you start writing your coding. So read the data from the in tab as per your requirements and assign the data to what? Out tab. Ante nee logic. I think you should understand this. Now, this is my target fields. My select would be in the we don't have a concept of into corresponding fields. So you must specify the same sequence as per my target table. Now target table the first contract, offer element, record mode, contract value, compliance and counter. So select contract. So I'm going to read because this is do we have a same field contract in the target source also? So this has to get into my contract. So I'm saying so select /bh/s contract from the source. Why am I right? I don't have to write as here because the target table and source field is same, but still as and whatever I'm reading it this as contract, assign it to the same target field. So if target field is different, this will help you. So this is the source field what I'm reading. This is the name of the target field to which I'm assigning the value to. Same offer element to offer element, but record mode I'm putting a constant as what? I'm not reading it from source. I'm saying end as this record mode, contract value to contract value to value, compliance, and then what is this? I'm saying one as counter. For every record, keep taking as what? One. I'm reading all this data from which table? Content colon I int tab. Why? When I'm referring to the content of it, I told you when you're assigning ఇక్కడ colon name పెట్టం. We don't put colon here. But when you're reading from the temporary table, I put colon temporary tables. అంతే నా scripting. ఏందుంది? So what are the logic I wanted in the transformations? Did I implement as ABAP managed database procedures into the scripting? And you activate it here. So this is activated successfully. Actually, ఇప్పుడు నువ్వు ఇక్కడికి వెళ్ళి చూస్తే కనపడాలి code. You see that coding here, right? Back వెళ్ళి just say activate. ఇక్కడ editing చేయలేం. You can't edit that ABAP managed database procedure in the SAP GUI. You have to edit it in ABAP perspective. Now, even though I'm writing some logic of customized logic, I'm still able to be pushing the transformations into HANA database, HANA engine. Yeah. Now, let me just create DTP and then next. And as a point of, if you want to show this as point of POC, you just take some huge data and have some complex logic and show them the runtime of the DTP having transformations in ABAP, runtime of the DTP having transformations being pushed with SQL scripting export route. I have executed with this 30 records was done. And if I see this data in this, and it's not an activated new table, you see counter as 1. This was a simple one which I was trying to do this. Okay, was fine. Now look at this. ఇది కొద్దిగా different. See, you've been working on BW or something. You might have written lots of complex transformations. But as per my experience, what I feel is most of your transformations should be lookups. General, apart from lookup, it will be something like currency conversion or something, that stuff. But majority of the case, you will have what? Lookup. You have some incoming field. Based on incoming field, you do look up to some table of active table of DSO or mass data or some custom table or something. You pick some value and fill it. But what SAP has done is when you want to do lookup to master data or we have option of read master data. We also have what? Read from DSO also. ABAP writing great kadanna. If you're really good architect or good consultant, you should eliminate using of ABAP. That's the concept. So if you have a requirement of reading master data, reading DSO, I can use this concepts. But if you have requirement of reading data from some custom table within BW, let's say you're getting some customer number, based on the incoming customer number, I need to do some lookup to some custom table, get customer type or something. Then I don't have that. In that case, I'll end up writing what? ABAP code. You write some coding where you get data into some internal table, then look up, read the state, all those stuff you do. I would like to implement the same kind of logic. I know I've taken some active tables of DSO, which I could implement with read DSO, but I wanted to implement that with scripting first. If you want majority of the case, lookup. Once you get lookup, it's all simple transformations. So how do we do lookup? With scripting. That's what I wanted to show you. See, I have this contract. One second, let me just take this thing. I've got 3 tables, okay? First, my requirement is this. I'm loading certain data here, and each record is one contract. Each record is one contract. My requirement is about checking whether the incoming contract is compliant or not. You remember we written some scripting, whether offer element value is matching or not. You remember? One contract will have a lot of offer elements. If all the offer element matches, then it is compliance. If anyone does not match, it is not compliance. First thing what I want is, based on the incoming contract, do we also, okay. Based on the incoming contract, if I go to this, do I also have incoming customer? Means incoming data is contract data. So for a given contract, I know which is a customer and what is the product is dealing with. Okay. So for each record, for each incoming contract, do we know to which customer in the source? Yes. Source law in tab in tab, do we have customer bus? Yes. So based on this customer, I must do lookup to this. Which table is it? /b/p and mass data of customer, and find out for a given customer what is my customer type. Yeah. Do I see this column? Customer type, exceptional, essential, or something. For each incoming record is a contract. For each record in tab is a contract. For a given contract, you will know who is a customer. Based on customer, by doing lookup to my attribute table of customer, I can find out the customer type, whether it is exceptional, essential. Okay. Next, I have another table is what is say product. So do I also have incoming product? Do I know for a contract to which product is this item level? So for given contract to which product do we deal with, we understand that. So from the product, now if I go to this product master data table, for a given product, can I find out product category, whether it is upstream or downstream? Logic was for given incoming contract, I know which is a customer, who is a product. From the given customer, I can find out customer type from the master data of customer. For given product, I can find out the product type from product master data. Okay. Once I find those, I've got one. What is slash base slash say 00 is an active table of a DSO. Yes, standard DSO. If I get into this, in this case, for given product category and customer type, do we have different offer elements maintained? And you also have offer element value. What does it say? ఇది ఎన్ని నువ్వు రికార్డు మోడ్ మర్చిపో. But you see this value, which says for product category as downstream, for essential, LMC last minute changes, no. Year on year volume growth, yes. Rush order, no. On time delivery commitment, no. Monthly volume optionality, no. Less than full truckload, no. And కొన్ని ఆఫర్ ఎలిమెంట్స్ మెయింటైన్ చేసాం. ఓకే, ఇప్పుడు నేను ఏం చేయాలంటే సిబస్ I get to know the incoming contract. Based on the contract, I also know incoming customer and product. Based on the customer, I've identified customer type. Based on the product, I've identified product type. Based on customer type and product type, I can pick out the offer elements. So this is my offer elements. And for one given contract, based on the customer type and product type, do we have multiple offer elements? Okay, I need to format 5 rows into my target. And then I've got value here. See, this is nothing but for each offer element, I have value here. That is a value. And then I have got contract. That is a value in what? This is the value what I maintain offer book. This is like offer book for me. Ante product for this product category, for this type of customer, I give these offers. That is like this offer book for me. Then from the incoming, say I have income for the each contract, I have got the details. Say for example, the LMC kada. I'll have in field code what is SLMC, which indicates the value, no na yes on. What is made it in the contract? This SLMC value should match to the offer element of this particular based on the category and type. The respect LMC value emundi, no. So this will have the value from the contract. This will have the value from the offer book, and this offer element. If both these are matching, then I'll say what? Compliance. Yes, center. Otherwise, no. Okay. For one contract, I can have multiple offer elements. For each offer element, I'm going to make an entry into my target DS. And counter, I'm just going to put 111 constant for every record. And what is this here? Product category, what I've derived from what? Product master. Customer type, what I've derived from customer type. Logic arthamaindana ante for each incoming contract, I pick up first the customer and the product, get the relevant customer type and get the product type. Based on customer type and product type, I get the offer elements. Then for each of this contract, I find out what is my contract value of the offer and what is offer book value. If both are matching, then I would say compliance says yes, otherwise no. This is not required. Okay. Now try to understand. So this is about am I doing lookup? Lookup until first you read data from the attribute table of customer, you put that into some internal table, then while looping the source package, you will say read the P table of customer, and See, this is the same concept, contract, offer book, and record mode, all this. I've implemented that with ABAP here. See what I've done? First, I've read all the relevant data from which table? In attribute table of customer, and I've put that into some what? Internal table IT customer. Same thing, I've read the relevant data from product table, then I put what? IT underscore product, then I've set select star from what? Offer book element DS and I've put into another internal table. Then I'm just checking so and so. I'm just looping through what? Loop through source package, assigning what? Source fields, and for each record, I'm just reading what? Which table? IT customer, getting what? The record into work customer work area, same thing reading from product. Then I'm reading this offer book element where my product category matches to the work area of the category and work area of customer to work area. అంటే ఫస్ట్ కస్టమర్ డేటా ప్రోడక్ట్ డేటా రీడ్ చేసి దానికి సంబంధించిన ఆఫర్ బుక్ ఎలిమెంట్ రీడ్ చేసి ఐమ్ జస్ట్ matching if LTFL, I'm just if both these two are matching, I'm putting the result and then I'm putting yes or no on మొత్తం I've written an expert routine like this. Same నాకు రియల్ టైమ్ ఇదే ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఉంది బట్ ఓన్లీ థింగ్ ఇస్ ఎలిమెంట్స్ వర్ అరౌండ్ 24 or 25 ఉంది అంతే. I just took 6 here. Okay, boss? But if I start implementing that logic here, am I involving ABAP, which is at the application layer? So if I write my ABAP and execute my transformations, the transformations are not executed into HANA engine, so it is executed with the application server. So the performance will be different. Atla no చేసినప్పుడు if the performance is fine, you don't, even if you write ABAP, if the performance is fine, you don't really bother on it. You have implemented with ABAP and there's really a problem in the transformations, it is really taking a lot of time, and then those type of transformations you will focus on converting it to scripting. So నేను అబాప్తో రాసినాను my performance was really bad explicitly on the transformations. Extracting from the source DSO, updating to DSO is all fine, but a major problem was on the transformations. So due to which my data load was getting slow, నీకు అది ఇచ్చినట్టు రిక్వైర్మెంట్ ఇలా ఇచ్చి అట్లా అబాప్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ ఉంది దీనివల్ల ట్రాన్స్ఫర్మేషన్ స్లో అయిందంటే అప్పుడు ఏం చేస్తావు యూ అండర్స్టాండ్ ద అబాప్ based on the ABAP, you will replace that logic with what? Scripting and push and implement HANA expert routine with expert script routine, which will push the logic into HANA engine. That's one concept. Okay, Nana? That's scenarios. Okay. So I'll say edit routines and say what? SAP HANA expert script create. Again, it creates it creates a class with a method. Okay, Nana? And again, you have WinTab, out. WinTab has got all the elements, LMC, LTFL of a contract. Even one match sales. What is the class? UEE. అది రిఫ్రెష్ కాలేదు. UEE, this is my class. I've got a method and I've got in tab and out tab. And here you start writing a scripting. Small above with lookup at raster, but if it is scripting, if I need to get data from some other table, it's about joining. What I'll do, I join the in tab will have all the contract data. I'll join this in tab to attribute table of customer and get customer type. Then the same table I'll join to product master table and get what? Product type. And based on this product type and customer type, I'll join to what? Offer book element and get those. Then logic in the select, I'll start doing the checking. So it's very simple of doing lookup. Look at this. See what I've done. I said the target, but I want first contract, offer element, record mode. Dande sequence. I select contract, offer book element, record mode, contract value, val, and then compliance, yes, sir, no, no, one. I've just put all the stuff. Yeah. Okay, boss. ఇప్పుడు చూడండి. What I've done is basically I'm trying to read from which table? Attribute customer table and as what? T1 and joining it to what? In tab, which is temporary table as what? T2. And I'm joining it on which column? Customer column. And object version, because for master data object version, I want to refer only with A. And what is the result of this? Again, I'm joining, inner joining with what again? Product. Joining on what? Product. Again, I'm saying write out result because I would like to get all these multiple rows. I'll say write out join with this table and join on what? Customer type and what? Product category. I'm referring to customer type of which table? T1. T1 is what? Customer master. Product category from T3. What is T3? Product table. And then I'm just go order by sorting it. And then I'm selecting contact number from T2. What is my T2 in tab from the source? I'm selecting offer book element from T4. What is my T4? Offer book element DSO. And this is N, okay. And the contract value, I'm just taking it as some constant value. At testing, I'm just taking product category. Product category, I'm taking it from which table? Product table. T1 and customer type from which table? Custom. But I see some lookup is all about joining those tables and getting the columns what you want. నాకు ఎర్రర్స్ వస్తుంది ఏమంటుంది /base/ps customer is unknown must be declared in the method statement. Local name must, if it is local, it must start with colon. ఏమంటుందంటే ఈ టేబుల్ పేరు నాకు తెలియదు లోకల్ టేబుల్ అయితే కోలన్ ఉండేది దీనికి కోలన్ లేదు మరి టేబుల్ డిక్లేర్ కూడా చేయలేదు అంట. So when you are doing some lookups to some different tables, those tables must be declared. Ikkada the top of the method statement you declare I think using antamu. You use a keyword using and declare that. Using, apart from read only, say using all, list out all the tables for which you are doing lookup. Table 1, table 2 and table 3. You put it now, you see that error. You start writing lookups, you start writing joins, but all the database tables what you're doing lookup must be declared at the top saying using ani a table పేర్లు పెట్టాలి. Okay, at the top of the method what you're writing, say method declaration, you normally it is read only ఆగిపోతుంది that కాకుండా you should extend it saying using the tables, table 1, table 2, comma ఏం లేదు, just put the tables out with space and activate. So my method is class is activated now. మీరు పోతే నీకు కనపడాలి class. You see that code? Yes. And activate. నా ఇంటెన్షన్ ఆఫర్ కూడా కాదు, మెయిన్ లుక్అప్ టు కస్టమర్ టైప్ అండ్ ప్రోడక్ట్ టైప్ కేటగిరీ. Do I see this contract splitting for every offer element? నేను ఇది ఎస్ పెడుతున్నాను లేదు. This is the value from your offer book, counter, product category, customer type, lookup to fill in. Like this, you can end up writing your complex scripting for transformations also. Because in a project where they do with Hana migration, let's say I've got BW running on relational database and you migrate it to Hana bus. Migration work, fine. They have budget, but after that, no itla na unko. I'll start writing. Almost every transformation would have some other routine. Then what you do, you start writing expert script routine for every transformation. Or నాకు బడ్జెట్ లేదప్ప నువ్వు రాస్తావు సరే నాకు బడ్జెట్ లేదన్న. Most of the customers are migrating it to HANA, but still they don't have budgets to spend on optimizing the BW system on HANA. మైగ్రేషన్ తర్వాత ఏమేమి చేసుకోవచ్చు అని. సో కానీ ఏం చేస్తారంటే కొన్ని పెయిన్ ఏరియాస్ ఉంటే దే వుడ్ హ్యావ్ బడ్జెట్. అంటే ఆఫ్టర్ మైగ్రేటింగ్ ఇట్ హనా కన్వర్టింగ్ దోస్ అబాప్ ప్రోటీన్స్ టు script proteins mean they may not have budget for everything. But after migration, if they see that there is really problem with some of the data loads which is really taking lot of time on, because there was a load which is running for 1 hour. That was the major problem why I went for HANA. HANAకి వెళ్ళినా కూడా అబాప్ ప్రోటీన్ ద్వారా ఇంకా ఇంప్రూవ్ కాలేదనుకో. సో దట్ ట్రాన్స్ఫర్మేషన్ షుడ్ బి ద పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ ఫోకస్ ఫర్ ఇట్ టు వర్క్ ఆన్ ఇట్. నువ్వు అలా అనాలి. ఓకే, ఇఫ్ నాట్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్, అట్లీస్ట్ ద ప్రాబ్లమ్ ఏరియాస్ విల్ ఫోకస్ టు కన్వర్ట్ ఇట్ టు స్క్రిప్ట్ రొటీన్స్. క్లియర్? Yeah. Next, there is something called HANA analysis process. Next topic. See, there's something called SAP HANA analysis process on a topic. This is more of like more or less similar to your APD. You have APD bus, analysis process design is almost. With APD, you'll have what? Source, target, and you do transformation, where the transformation can be done with complex API, you can do with what? ABAP. With concept ultimately when you have BW running on HANA, as much as possible you would like to put the pressure on to what? HANA. Right? So even for the scenarios of EAPD, he wanted to give you an option of writing scripting, where you can, even for data mining, you can push the logic deep into HANA database. That's one concept. So even in analysis process, you'll have source, you'll have target. In between, you can write transformations with scripting. That's the concept. Okay, now look at this. I just choose something. Right click and see, you'll say what? Create SAP HANA analysis process. Three source, target, transformation. Analysis under transformations, where the transformation can be either with some scripting or with the procedure. Procedure is nothing but ABAP managed database procedures. And nothing but it is going to be a ABAP class, but ultimately it will be having what? Scripting into it. Source, and it could be any info provider. It could be having analytical index, composite provider, any of this, and I can also use query snapshot. What is this? Query as info provider. So in case of non-cumulative key figures, you want to further process it. And let's say I have a non-cumulative cube. I would like to do further level of transformations. I cannot connect that cube because non-cumulative keywords are not stored inside the cube. Then what I can do, I can create a BEX query, and BEX query will give me the results of the non-cumulative key figures, and those have to be further transformed. What I can do, you create a BEX query which gives you the values of non-cumulative key figures and set that query as info provider. And can I start using that as a source here? Gurtundani Q7 import query and bit out. I can use that as source, or I can use what? A database table or any another analysis process also. You got to bet on something, yeah. I can go with some function, ready-made functions. I can use some ready-made functions. What is ABC analysis, K means, and I can use the ready-made functions. Or if you want to write custom logic, I can say procedure. What will say? You would procedure another two options. Do you want to write a procedure with catalog update in ABAP1? Ante ABAP1 lo edana procedure rasava. Ee name to procedure em rasava, HANA procedure. They can write a procedure and start, and SAP ABAP1 schema lo procedure specify chestava. can use this procedures here. అట్లా కాకుండా generate saying you just give some name z test అట్లేదని ఇచ్చినాం అనుకో. You just give some name. So with this, what are the logic you specify? It is going to create a procedure in which schema bus? ABAP. లేదు, that is about writing procedure directly in HANA database. అట్లా కాకపోతే I can say generate ABAP managed database procedure అని అనుకో. Then what? It is going to create a class where the method is declared as HTTP procedure and start. You can write scripting into that. Either ways you can do. నేను ఇలా అంట generate procedure అంటాను. Just give ZQ7 procedure అని అంటాను. So okay. And target. Generally, target could be analytical index, which is your transient provider, or I can go with what? Classical DSO. But what DSO will it accept? Generally, APD will accept what type of DSO? Directive DSO. Even here, only directive DSO can be accepted as a target. So, only directive DSO lo చూపిస్తుంది. Okay. And database table, or I can embed this to a DTP, and this logic can be executed as a source as a DTP bus. Okay. I just want to create some DSO. What type of DSO is this? Directive, some key field and some. Okay, boss. Let me create analysis process. Say create new. So I want to use this provider as my source, which is normal DSO. I can show you that. This is a normal DSO, which is got contract number, offer element, and it's got some structure here. And my target is going to be a director bit DSO. This is the one which we created. Okay. If you go to data source, you can target add. You can see these are my target. Compliance, contract, almost same structure. Contract number, contract value, offer the same. And in the transformation. So I want to go with the procedure, okay, as a transformation, and I would like to generate this procedure with some naming ZQ7 test transform. This is my name of the procedure which I want to create, and this procedure gets created in which schema? ABAP one. Data source like now here you can first in the data source tab you should choose what columns. Your data source object can have a lot of fields. What fields you want to use? I want to use compliance, contract. Then I want counter value and use all. In the target, I have this fields. This is mapping. Madhilo procedure definition. Here you can start writing your scripting. Okay. Our same out tab. Then కిందకి వెళ్తే లేదా చూడు ఫ్రమ్ ఇంటి అంత రాజేసినాడు ఇక్కడ ఏం కావాలో ఆడ మార్చుకోండి లాజిక్ వెళ్తే. So I'm just doing a simple one. So I'm just taking compliance as it is. Anni same. ఈ ఎస్ వాల్యూ దానికి మాత్రం ఐమ్ పుట్టింగ్ డి కాన్స్టెంట్ ఇస్ వాట్ ఎన్ఏ. నువ్వు కావాలంటే ఏ లాజిక్ అని రాసుకో. ఓకే. అండ్ టార్గెట్ ఇస్ ఆల్ ఫైన్. So replace existing data with new data. Every time it drops and reloads. Okay. Like this. Now it's been activated. If this has been activated, now in ABAP fund schema, should I have a procedure saying Z cubics? Then was ZQ700 and this was a procedure name. If you get in, either NA as value, ZQ7002 was your HANA analysis process name, procedure created. You just have to execute this. It just reads data from this IPS. Same thing, you can put that into what? Process chain. Just put value as what? NA. You can write any kind of scripting you want. Okay, boss. మన ఏపీడీలో స్క్రిప్టింగ్ లేదు, దీంట్లో స్క్రిప్టింగ్ ఉంటుంది. సో అంటే స్క్రిప్టింగ్ రాయడం వల్ల బెనిఫిట్ ఏంది? నాకు స్క్రిప్టింగ్ వచ్చాను కదా, ఏంది వీఆర్ పుషింగ్ డౌన్ ద ప్రెజర్ టు HANA డేటాబేస్. అది కాన్సెప్ట్. ఎంత వీలైతే పుష్ చేసి మన వీ గెట్ ద పర్ఫార్మెన్స్ బెనిఫిట్స్. ఓకే బాస్. We'll go for a break and come, and then we'll start discussing on HANA migrations. Let's say you got BW running on relational database. How do we migrate it to HANA data? What is it you do as a pre, post, and నాకు ఎంత తెలిసి అంత చెప్తా. Okay, max. Okay, we'll discuss on. We'll go for a break now. Okay, boss. Um, we would start with migration of BW on Hana. Very important. There are a couple of jobs only on this part of it. You would get job requirements, especially which says they've got BW running on non-HANA database, and now they want to migrate it to HANA. So you have explicitly jobs only on this part of it also, which will go on around 4 to 5 months, and you have this project. Then once after the migration, then optimizations. So as part of this, we basically have to look at what is that we do as part of pre-migration, pre-upgrade, and then post-upgrade, post-migration. What kind of testing, validations, what kind of issues we might face, and how do we handle this? That's what we have to focus on. Okay, very very important. Actually, see the three ways, the different ways of implementing data warehousing now, because there are a lot of applications with similar functionality now. See, in BW you have ETL, BODS is also an ETL, so there are a lot of overlapping functionalities. Other day I had a discussion with SAP because for one of the customer we have done a solutioning saying, if you say data warehousing, my mind always goes to BW. So what we did was, we said we'll have BW, and on top of BW we'll have BO for implementing data warehousing. Then after the solution was all finalized, then we went to SAP for taking up the licenses. Then SAP said the solution what you gave was okay but not correct, because I was implementing data warehousing for a customer who was very small requirement. There's around only 25 reports. Then he said, for this 25 reports, why do you want to implement NetWeaver suite, which is very complex to maintain? Then he came out with another solution saying, you use BODS as ETL tool, put the data into Sybase IQ, and then do reporting with business objects. That was a solution they came out with. Then I argued with SAP saying, but BW is also data warehousing, and what you're suggesting is also data to implement data warehousing. Why don't I use BW? Okay, the major point he was stressing on was business content. He said, if you're using and for my implementation, the source was not SAP, source was non-SAP completely. Then he said, if you're using SAP systems as a source, then you have flexible of leveraging standard business content extractors, business content queue, business content transformation. Then BW as a data warehousing makes sense. Otherwise, you don't have to go with BW. That is what he was stressing on that point, saying, if you're implementing, let's say ECC is your source and you want to implement a warehouse, then BW is the one. Okay. So then you have standard extractors in ECC. For the same standard extractor, you have standard info source, you have ready-made info objects, ready-made master data, ready-made cubes, ready-made big queries, everything that makes sense. But if when the source is non-SAP, does not make sense with BW. That's what his point. And one more point he was raising on is, so I'm a customer. Let's say I've got licenses for ECC, business suite, ECC or CRM or APO, SCM, whatever it is. When I have minimum 50 user license for ECC, BW is free for me. BW is free. In that case, leveraging BW makes sense. But let's say, okay, so in that case, when I use, so my license, BW license is free, right? If I'm extracting data from ECC to this BW, some part of non-SAP to integrate with that is okay. So license is valid. So my customer already had CRM with more than 50 user license. So BW was free license available. Then I said license is already available for BW, so I'll use that instead of buying new licenses with BO and BODS. Then he said, if you're extracting data from that CRM what we gave you to this BW and some part of non-SAP, then the license is free. It is valid. But if you're using this BW only for non-SAP data and then building a warehouse, then the license is not valid. Your BW is free only for extracting the business suite data what we gave you, and with some mix-up of some non-SAP is okay. But purely non-SAP, then license is you'll have a license violation. Then you got to go with new. You have to buy separate licensing for BW and then implement. Then he said, then when you compare the licensing for this customer, the requirement was only for 25 reports and source was not SAP. Then he said simplified licensing would be with BODS. BODS is ETL tool. You extract it and store in a database like Sybase IQ, which also supports columnar storage, and then do reporting with business objects. And when you buy BO, is giving Sybase IQ free. So what చాలా cheap లో వస్తుంది. Go with the solution and what. So that was information I gained when I spoke to them. So considering this fact, any customer who has got the business suite would generally go with what? BW. Yeah. Suppose they don't have business suite. If it is non-SAP, if the source is what? Non-SAP, then they have two options. If the source is non-SAP and you're implementing huge data warehousing, then it is and performance, then it will be HANA as the warehouse. If it is non-SAP source but very small warehouse, then it will be what? Sybase IQ. That's the point of focus. And source is SAP and they're going to have performance issues. Again, it will be what? BW on HANA. So ultimately, my feeling is SAP is not able to sell HANA to customers who are not dealing with SAP. They were successful in selling HANA to already existing customers of SAP. Already, let's say the client is already a customer of SAP who is already using SAP products. SAP product definitely you will have the ECC application. ECC undante, then the BW can be leveraged. The free licensing of BW can be leveraged. And if he looks at performance issues, they can have for BW they can have HANA as a backend. And from 2018, it has been announced that normally you can install BW with any database you want. But from 2018, SAP would start supporting only BW running on HANA. And any developments, whatever you see with new versions of 7.4, 7.5, whatever, it's all on the HANA base. For example, I have advanced DSO. That is a new development in BW that allows you can leverage it only if you have HANA as a backend. Otherwise, no. Any new developments, new options, and HANA specific majorly. So, looking at this development, by 2018, SAP will not support BW which is running on non-HANA. It will be purely focused on BW running on HANA. Most of the CEOs or architects, and I met many of them. Well, assumption in Q2 or Q3, June, July. That is where you're going to have lots of migrations. So this will have lot of weightage. All the existing build systems will start migrating towards HANA. So projects and every project would be for 3-4 months or max 5 months. Just wouldn't tell them. Lift. They also call it lift and shifting the database from non-HANA to HANA data. And this is not nothing. This is not new. We already been doing this long before but not to HANA. Let's say I was running with MS SQL, I wanted to lift and shift to Oracle. We were doing this already, but now since HANA has come into picture, this has become more important. So you would see more projects getting into this mode of migration of BW systems to HANA. Very, very important. Okay. Now let's focus on this one. So we're going to look at what will be the advantages running BW on HANA. So BW without HANA, with HANA, what are the advantages you will see? Then product availability matrix means for what BW version, what version of HANA is the matching. Yeah? Then implementation options. Say you want to migrate your existing BW to HANA. What are the different options available and which is the best one? And we get into the best one. And prerequisites, and when you're doing migration, what points do I need to consider? And what are the prerequisites? And then pre-migration, post-migration, and HANA optimization. And once the BW is migrated onto HANA, what optimization do we carry out? And point. Okay, boss. See, now we are doing migration, but I also specify speaking about upgrade. Upgrading is what? Let's say I've got BW 7.0, I upgraded to what? 7.4. That is upgrade. Migration ante lifting and shifting the database. I've got my BW running on Oracle database or SQL Server database. I shift this to HANA at the migration. So I'm speaking about both these things, upgrade and migration, because let's say I've got my customer who is running on BW 3.5 or BW 7.0 with MS SQL. Now you want to go with HANA. So only from BW 7.3 SP5, your BW supports to have HANA as a backend database. So without upgrading my BW version from 7.0 to minimum 7.3 or 7.4 or 7.5, I'll not be able to have HANA as a backend. So once I think, let's say my present customer is on 7.0, when I think about migrating it to HANA, should I upgrade my BW? So there will be two aspects major. One is about upgrading your existing BW version to 7.3 minimum and migrating database. So you'll have two options. And SAP suggests, see, now what I'll do, I do an upgrade first, then I do migration. It's a long time, but what SAP says, you can do both the steps together at one stretch. You're doing a lot of testing. So you'll have a lot of return on investment or reducing cost when you go with upgrade and migration, and they've given some tools which can do both at a time, upgrading and migration. Okay. Now obviously, now when you look at the advantages with BW and HANA, what will be the major point of focus? Let's say I have a customer who is running on BW with some non-HANA database. What would be the forcing factor for him to go with HANA? Or driving force for the customer to go with HANA? Performance, obviously. Obviously, it is performance, right? So you spent a lot of money and is not getting the required performance, then doesn't make sense for him to spend some more to get the performance. So for us, what we feel is, we feel HANA is costly. Do you think really customers go for it? There are customers who are buying Range Rover, Land Rover, Benz, and all this stuff, right? So what does it mean? For some people, that becomes necessity. For some people, that becomes luxury. Even though it is costly, for some customers, that becomes necessity. And for those customers, they go in for HANA. And value for money is what point. For me, Range Rover might be costly, but for some other user, Range Rover might be really, because he does a lot of traveling and that makes value for him. That is what the point. It's not about costly. It's about, is it value for me or not? That's what is it I'm going to fetch out of it. Let's say I already spent a lot of money on implementing data warehousing with BW. I have a lot of my data, but I'm not getting the information at the right time. Then what is the use of it? At some point of time, my user says, okay, let's spend some more 2 crores or 3 crores and get this right. That is where the budgets are being allocated for migrating towards HANA. Okay, and SAP is forcing towards that. Okay. One is, normally do we use BW accelerator to improve query performance? And once HANA comes in, there's no more BW accelerator. Once HANA comes in as a backend for BW accelerator is not supported anymore. So the query performance is equal or better than scenario where BW accelerator has been used. So with HANA, you have advantage of query performances. And the query performance on DS is comparable equal to what? On Cube. You can do normally without HANA, what happens? Generally, we do always prefer doing reporting on cube because the performance is a lot better when compared to DSOs. But once HANA comes in, which starts leveraging column store table, either you do reporting on cube or either you do reporting on DSO is one and the same performance wise. So then why do I go with having another layer at the top with cube? I start doing reporting on DSO. That's one. And loading performance is also improved with having HANA because of HANA optimized HANA optimized cube. Do we have dimensionalities? No dimension table. So there's no point in generating dimensionality. So it improves your loading performance also. And we're eliminating BW, which reduces your cost also, right? Suppose, let's say, assume your accelerator is say 50 lakhs and HANA is 1 crore. When I go with HANA, I'm eliminating BW accelerator. So I'm only incurring the difference of the between those 50 lakhs. Our point would stress share when you selling HANA to customers. And then it gives you benefits of simplified modeling, no aggregates. When you HANA comes in, no more aggregates on the cube. Yeah. And then eliminating info cubes on top of DSO. I told you, if cube is used only for aggregating, I can eliminate it. Straight away I can do reporting on DSO. Removing info bit from cube. Remodeling is very simplified now with HANA optimized cubes. And significant compression because the compression is all handled by HANA stored procedure. So compression is improved. And we can also have a lot of other flexibles. Not only smart data access, the lot of flexibilities come in when you have BW on HANA because you're basically mixing up BW modeling, HANA modeling, BW capabilities, and HANA capabilities. We can call that as hybrid warehouse. BW with non-HANA database, normal data warehouse as BW, enterprise data warehouse. If it is BW with HANA, it's an enterprise data with hybrid mechanism, with where you mix up both modeling capabilities of HANA and BW, and all the flexibilities of both. That makes you more hybrid. We have issue even when we have created BW. Is there while executing query show error data is too large? We have issue even we have created BW accelerator. Is there while executing query? Generally, if there's some problem with the accelerator, there's nothing we can do. Only thing is drop the indexes and reload. That's the max we can do. Or distribution of blades weak. That is what max we can, nothing else. And next matrix, it says for BW 7.3 SP5, you can look at something like 69 revision ante SP6 or SP7 or SP8. For 7.3 SP10, you can look EHP and SP4. You can look at 84 under revision 84 ante SP8 on it. But ultimately, the end is says, let's say I have my BW running on 7.0. I would like to migrate it to HANA. But రెండు లేటెస్ట్ తీసుకుంటాడు అంటే వాట్ ఎవర్ ఇస్ లేటెస్ట్ జస్ట్ టేక్ బోత్ సే ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఫర్ మీ ఐ గాట్ SP10 లెట్స్ ఐ గాట్ మై 7.5 ఐ గో విత్ ఫర్ 7 ఐ మైగ్రేట్ ఇట్ టు వాట్ ఫుల్ లేటెస్ట్ వెళ్ళరు ఎందుకంటే ఇంకా ఏమైనా స్టెబిలైజేషన్ ఇష్యూ ఉంటుందని జస్ట్ వన్స్ బిఫోర్ దట్ ఐ మైట్ ప్రిఫర్ యాజ్ ఆఫ్ నో ఐ ప్రిఫర్ 7.4 SP12 with let's say SP10 as 9 కొద్ది failure HANA SP10 లేదా SP8 అంటారు. The failure is because of that smart data. They've introduced smart data quality integration. There are a lot of issues regarding that. So that has been all fixed in SP10. So 9 another, either say SP10 or either say SP8. Okay. Okay. And before you think about migrating your BW on HANA, there should be some points what SP11 what's in the I think SP11 is also out and now next would be 2 SP2 but I think SP11 is also out here అంటే వాడు 106 116 అంటారు రివిజన్ ఇస్ 106 అలా అంటారు SP11 good so SP11 is good he's saying okay SP11 is more అంటే the more it is they keep fixing the issues yeah, okay good. Okay, so when it comes to point of focus on having BW on HANA, these points is at basic when you're having non-HANA as your database for BW, you have the luxury of using a lot of space because it is all on the disk. When you look at the server and server setup, it's about ఓన్లీ ర్యాక్ అంతే. ఇంకో డిస్క్ వేస్తే అయిపోతుంది. ఇంకో సపోజ్ లెట్స్ ఐ గాట్ 1 TB ఆఫ్ డిస్క్ అండ్ దట్ ఈస్ గెటింగ్ యూజ్డ్ అప్. ఇంకో డిస్క్ పెడితే మళ్ళీ డేటాబేస్ నా డిస్క్ స్పేస్ పెరిగినట్టే. Getting what I'm saying? The lot of advanced done at generally when you look at hardware size, I have done hardware sizing for one of the customer. Hardware sizing చేసినప్పుడు ఏం చేస్తామంటే you deploy your servers at certain data centers. And then they are when you go with data centers, what do you say? You say what is the rack servers you want, how many racks you want, and what is storage you want. We don't say I'm going to set up my entire BW, BO, everything at one data center. What ఎలా అడుగుతుంటే it doesn't ask you BO కి ఎంత disk కావాలి, BW కి ఎంత, it doesn't ask you how much disk do you want for BW, BO అట్లా. Overall, how much storage do you want? You'll have all the applications running in. It will use the shared storage and it will keep inserting disks అంతే. ఎంత స్టోరేజ్ కావాలంటే అంత స్టోరేజ్. నాకు 7 TB అంటే 7 TB పెట్టినాడు. ఫుల్ అయితే నాకు ఇంకో టీవీ పెంచంటే అది డేటా సెంటర్స్ అనమాట. దట్స్ వేర్ యూ మెయింటైన్ యువర్ ర్యాక్ సర్వర్స్. అది కాన్సెప్ట్. సో when we had a database set up on hard disk, we always had I just have to tell him increase 1 more TB of space అంటే ఇంకో ర్యాక్ లో ఇంకో హార్డ్ డిస్క్ పెడతాను. That's it. But when it comes to HANA, I don't have that luxury because mine is in-memory database where you're going to store data in RAM. So I have my RAM is it's costly. It's not like disk. So I need to use more intelligently. So my point of focus would be on reducing the database size. Let's say I got my BW running on non-HANA. Before I migrated to HANA, my point of focus should be on reducing the size of the database. I need to shrink my database size. So a database size తగ్గిమంటే మనం ఏం చేస్తాం? Let's say I give you a BW system running on non-HANA and I wanted to reduce the size of the database. Then what do you do? He says I'll delete the data from all unused cubes. Let's say there are some cubes. I had a luxury of making some unused cubes with a lot of data, so I'm not using it anymore. I have to delete it. Okay. ఇంకా అట్లా రిస్క్ కదా. నువ్వు అంటే tomorrow I might need those, so they don't touch really those. ఇంకా ODS change log tables, PSA tables, then job logs, statistics tables, logs, all this can be cleaned out. And we can do a lot of housekeeping activities and pretty much clean the space, right? Because I have seen one project where they were writing some routine where they're doing lookup to a PSA. They're doing lookup to PSA table, so they're not deleting PSA. And they have a select statement on the PSA table into select for all entries. PSA was becoming huge. Dump. And when I observed, that was all on because of the size of PSA. And PSA table is full. Then why should I store every request? Yeah. So there are points like that. So it's about housekeeping, means deleting unwanted data from the cubes. I can still think of, okay, now you said about cube. So deleting PSA, change logs, statistics tables, deleting job logs or SLG1 log, is all okay. This all I can say housekeeping, not needed. Then he starts saying, I'll also delete data from a cube which is not used. Say I might have a cube. I have a cube with some 10 years of data in it. They're not using this cube at all. So I can delete that cube. Generally, the easy ఒప్పుకోరు. Today I may not be using, but I'll use it tomorrow. But can I say, like, I faced a situation like this. I was having cost center accounting cube where they were having data for 10 years of it. Okay. Users, the BW architect from the client side was always asking users that can we delete some data from this? Why do you want to have 10 years? Let's clean up at least some past 3 years or 4 years. They never accept. Okay. One of my colleague unknowingly deleted entire data of the cube. Unknowingly is deleted entire data in the cube. Then what head client will say, congrats చెప్తాను. నేను ఎన్ని రోజులు అడిగిన ఒప్పుకోలే, నువ్వు ఎత్తేసినావు గుడ్. You are saying I asked them a lot of times, but they were never accepted, but you deleted it. Now they have no other option. But again, we had to reload all the 10 years of data back into the queue. Why? Their intention is if I delete, they won't have it for reporting. Right? So, but if I do like this, I will implement NLS, nearline storage. I will what? You'll have BW system and I'll have a side by another database, like say Sybase IQ as what? NLS solution. From the cube, all unwanted data, not frequently used for reporting, I'll push that into what? NLS. And వేరే database like వెళ్ళిపోతుంది, but it is still available for reporting. I'll have BW some Oracle database. I'll implement Sybase IQ as NLS. Let's have got cube with 10. I can show you. I will see. I missed the topic. I will have let's say 10 years of data in the cube. The 7 years of data, what is not used, I can push that into what? NLS. So that will not be stored in my BW database. It will be a separate database, which will be treated as NLS, nearline storage. But when I run my report for historical, it will still fetch from that. The data what is moved into NLS is still available for reporting. It is moved into NLS, but the size of my database is reduced. Exact size required for BW is reduced. So even housekeeping activities or even by implementing NLS, I can still move the size of the database down. We can reduce the size of the database. So well, before migrating towards HANA, I can implement NLS solution for BW and reduce the size of my BW database as much as possible. That is one aspect of doing it. Okay. And before we think about migrating, there's one more point to know is DMO, database migration option. SAP has given some tool called DMO, database migration option, because HANA is from SAP, right? So it's not about just giving HANA. What they've given some specific tools which can simplify the migration process, which is called DMO. By using DMO, you can do upgrade, you can do Unicode conversion, you can also do lift and shift the database to HANA. So knowing about DMO is also important before you speak about migration. Database migration option is given some tool through which you can lift and shift the database, which can also do upgrade, migration, and Unicode conversion also. Okay. Now it's fine. You're able to hear me? Now there are different multiple options. Don't worry about the third one. They'll look at two options you can think of. One is new installations or in-place migrations. New installation or in-place migration. Ultimately, I've got my BW system running on Oracle database. Now I would like to lift and shift my database to what? HANA. I've got multiple ways of doing it. One is the new installation I can think of. So what I've done is this is your BW system with BW 7.0 or what 7.3 whatever it is with some ASCII and the non-HANA data, some relational database, and this has been connected to some BW source. Do you have multiple source systems? It could be ECC or let's say this blue color indicates the source systems towards my BW. This is the black is the existing BW system with some non-HANA database. Okay. So when you look at the new installation, the option is you are not disturbing this. Okay. You first install HANA database, install new BW with 7.4 or 7.4, whatever latest version you want. So will this be a new system bus? Yes. Then start connecting. Then what you do is connect this source systems of the old BW towards what? Towards new with RFC connections. What to connect to the new BW system? Okay. Then what are the, let's say in the old BW you already created cubes, DSOs, multi-providers, BEX queries, transformations, all those. Whatever you want, you basically transport all of them to the new system. Through normal transport mechanism, CTS, you transport the objects from the old BW system to new BW system. But when you transport, you get the structures, but is the data transported also? When you transport a cube, the data is not only the structure of the cube comes in. Again, by using this new connection, you should start reloading the entire historical data and enable it for Delta. ఇది ఇది ఒక న్యూ ఇన్స్టలేషన్. ఇది కూడా చేస్తున్నారు కొంతమంది. దర్ ఆర్ కస్టమర్ స్టిల్ హూ ఆర్ డూయింగ్ ఇట్. పంచాయతీ ఎందుకబ్బా ఉన్నది డిస్టర్బ్ ఎందుకు, కొత్తది చేసి సెట్ అనేది ఇది దిద్దాంలే అన్నట్టు అట్లా కూడా ఉన్నారు. సో దే ఇన్స్టాల్ a new system with HANA as a backend database, and for moving the objects from old BW to new BW, they create a transport configuration and then transport all the objects from all the required objects from old system to new system, and then you get only the structures. The data is not available. Now you start, and the source systems are connected to the new BW system now, and then start reloading the entire historical data. This is one option. Look at this. Can I say this is like a sidecar? Sidecar ante existing BW landscape will be like that, and you're formulating new landscape altogether. What the advantage you get? No risk of production BW system, because you're not really doing in place ante unna production you're not disturbing it, so you're installing a new system, so no risk of it. And as a clean system without outdated data models, already Unicode enabled. Means what is saying, you can transport objects from old system to new system, right? When transporting, can you choose only the objects what you want you can transport? So let's say the old system has got a lot of inactive objects, lot of unused objects. Can I just choose the ones what I actually need in transport? So can I say you'll have clean system without unwanted objects? Yes. There are projects what I've touched on. One of the requirement of the project is about cleaning of the system, because there was one customer where they implemented BW. During implementation, they thought they would get data from APO, CRM, all those. Then after they moved all the objects to production, they said we don't want any data from APO and CRM. Then there are a lot of objects which are created for this loading of APO and CRM. They're just kept like that. So it's not a clean system. So when I'm moving it to new system, I can just move only the required objects into the new system and then have the clean system. That's what he means to say. And there's a side-by-side curve with latest bit of enhancement. The new system can have all the latest enhancements into it. They call it side-by-side approach. That sidecar. You have existing bit as it is, and then you formulate a new landscape. We call that as sidecar. Considerations: you need to requires complete transport of metadata. Do you end up transporting all the objects? It's not so easy. You need to know complete link of it, and then it needs complete reloading of all the business database. And if kotta objects vachinaka malli historical data anta reload cheyali. If I have 10 years, I need to reload all the data back again. Might be that the source may not have that data also. Possibilities. And no real data comparison possible. Ante ఇక్కడ మొత్తం కొత్త డేటా లోడ్ చేసినా కాబట్టి దీనికి పెద్ద డేటా ఇది డెల్టా మైగ్రేషన్ వేరే, ఈ మెకానిజం వేరే అనుకో. ఐ కెనాట్ రియల్లీ కంపేర్. అంటే ముందు ప్రీ మైగ్రేషన్ కి పోస్ట్ కంపారిజన్ ఏం లేదు. దీని రిజల్ట్స్ దీనివే, దీని రిజల్ట్స్ దీనివే. సో దట్స్ అబౌట్ న్యూ సిస్టమ్. బట్ ఐ వుడ్ సే something around 2% or 3% customers might be, if it is a really small system. Okay. The next one is we can upgrade, migrate, and Unicode conversion with what? With DMO option. So lifting and shifting your database from non-HANA to HANA database of BW system using what? DMO. This is in-place migration. In-place migration to unna system database ne migrate chestam. No. DMO is actually database migration option. Is actually part of this software. Some mana uttundam. You'll have software called some software upgrade manager and uttundam. With the latest, 1.8 with the latest support pack of some, which is actually previously it was actually used only for upgrading from one version to another version. Within that software is given an option called database migrate database and radio button pedthe which database what IP address and koduthe ellipothunadu. Okay. So within the some software is given an options for DMO which can be used for upgrade and migration. So DMO combines upgrade and database migrations, and Unicode conversion is also supported by DMO. So with the help of DMO of some software upgrade manager, you can do upgrade, you can do migrating of database, you can also do what? Unicode conversions. This is the concept. Let's say I have an existing BW with 7.0 with what? any database, like say it could be Oracle or SQL Server, whatever it is. Okay. And what we do is, generally, in real time, they don't touch the direct system. They do a POC, they get to that. But still, what they do, they create a copy of this system here. See, I got build 7.0 some database with post copy automation. Client copy base all this. They create exact client copy, all those. We call it as post copy automation. They create exact copy of that system in another box. So old box is as it is, and I have a new box which has been, it's a actual copy of it. Okay. And then what are the copy we had? This copy will get migrated towards this. Two options on that. One is, let's say you have system A, which is actually with BW with some non-HANA backend. You take a copy of this system using post copy automation. Using post copy automation, you create a copy of it. And what are the existing system copy system where this system will get migrated towards 7.4 with what? HANA database. Alagana J. Or without creating copies, straight away you can use the original system and do what? Migrate it to what? 7.4 SP. Is it in place migration? The same system is getting migrated. Normally for POC, you do this. You take the existing production system copy and then migrate this. This will be the POC concept. But if it is once the POC is proved, you start doing in place and the same landscape will get migrated. Every customer would have a landscape development quality production. Then what I do, first I create a copy of the production, take a copy system, then do migrate on it. That will be like POC. Once that is successful, I'll start doing migrating on the existing and the same landscape development quality production చేసుకుంటూ that will be what? In play అంటే ఉన్న landscape ని migrate చేసుకుంటూ వెళ్తున్నాం. That is, if they'll migrate development, then quality, then production. And there was an interview recently, you were asking me, let's say you are leading a team, you're doing all those stuff, and ఎంతసేపు పడుతుంది, what is the estimate you give అన్నాడు. అంటే నేను అంటే for each landscape I gave it for 3 weeks to 4 weeks అన్న. అంటే డెవలప్మెంట్ కి ఒక 3 weeks 4 weeks, క్వాలిటీకి 4 weeks, ప్రొడక్షన్ కి 4. So by 3 months you have BW system running on HANA Plus. Approximate. That is what the time frame with for all post pre అన్నిటికీ POC కు 1 month చేసుకో, 4 months అది కాదు. ఓకే. Then he asked me how many resources you will have అన్నాడు. ఏ రిసోర్సులు ఉంటారు, ఎంతమంది ఉంటారు అంటే ఒక అబాపర్, I'll say one abaper, then I'll have some 4 to 5 number of BW consultants depends on the size of the system. How many objects do they have? Then I can say like 4 to 5 BW consultants and one abaper to do all the, because for upgrading you'll have some problems with some functionals being absolute, or you want to do some tuning of the code, ABAP code, and basis guy and manager something. This will be the team to go with. Yeah. And you'll have HANA expert, database expert, Linux and HANA Ravali, BW basis. That's how we go. Okay. And then the same system can be migrated, or you can create a copy and the copy system can be migrated. Either ways you can do. But the same system is migrated towards, it's upgraded to 7.4 and the database is shifted to another HANA database. And look at this, well before we are migrating it towards this, I am already connected the BW system towards what? NLS IQ. And after this migrate also, it will have the same connection towards NLS. And ఇదే BW upgrade అయింది కాబట్టి that BW will have still have the connection to what? NLS at the point. You understand what we're trying to do? This in place migration. The previous one was a separate setup, new installation. So generally, 95% you will have this is the option to go for.
Analysis must.
You're saying analysis must. Why should I use analysis? When we had non-HANA database, I had the leverage, I had the luxury of using database size as much as possible. But once it comes to HANA, I would like to use more intelligently because it is in memory, even though it is cheaper, not cheaper than the disk. So I should use the database sizing more intelligently. So when I feel, even after doing housekeeping activities, even the size is really big, I can catch hold of some cubes or providers or DSOs where I see some unwanted data, unchanged and unwanted, not frequently for reporting. Those kind of data can be moved into another secondary database, which will reduce the size of my primary database. Even though I move the data to NLS, a secondary database, it is still available for reporting, right? Now, when you implement NLS with Sybase IQ, and when you archive this DSO, performance is really better. And the difference is performance, because DSO, your existing HANA is a column store, Sybase IQ is also column store, so they are in sync, so there's no problem in performance.
You can do report on DSO directly, right? So before migrate, you can delete entire queue.
That's what I'm saying. All unwanted data can be removed. I can delete aggregates because aggregates are no more removed.
Before that,
I can delete, yeah.
Before that, the cube mana report చేస్తాము. Queries impact.
Actually, generally ఎలా ఉంటుందంటే, normally you don't do reporting on cube directly. You'll be using the cube into multi-provider, and multi-provider reports ఉంటాయి. What I'll do, I need to change the multi-provider by replacing the cube with what? DSO. I need to do that because it's not about just removing cube, right? Let's say I have DSO, I have a cube, and the cube is used into multi-provider. When I want to remove this cube, it's not about just removing cube. It's about wherever let's say there might be 100 multi-providers where this cube is being used. So I need to start replacing this DSO with that cube. And suppose if the cube is used directly for reporting, then I can use RSZC and copy the queries from this cube to what? This DSO, then remove that cube. Impact analysis is important. When I say remove cube, cube remove you have to do. That's what expected. Yeah. So if I'm using this one, migration steps are simplified. It's not so complex. Next and upgrade, migration, and all can be included in one tool, Unicode. And business downtime is reduced. This is faster mechanism of migrating it. So downtime is really less. Source database remains consistent, so fast fallback is possible. It's all important point. Let's say I've got my BW running with MS SQL database. Now you run your DMO for migrating it. Migrating to what? HANA. In the last fail in the If I want to fall back, I have the existing database as it is. I can still have my BW switched on to MS SQL as old. So immediate fallback is possible here. And then some is actually software which is improvised with the latest support pack. And all the screens, all the dialog box or the application is designed with SAP UI 5. It's more browser-based screens and chala bagunnai. Fallback లేదు కదా, ఆల్రెడీ వాడుతుంటారు. There's no point of fall because the old system is already being used without any disturbance, right? That's all. Yeah. Since you're touching the same system, I should think about fallback. Okay, well, fail aite ana question. But if you look at the old option, the old system is being used directly, and you have a new system. So there's no question of fallback. You always have a backup plan already. But here, since you're doing in-place migration, I should think about falling back here, and there is a possibility of falling back also. Okay. So we decided that I would like to go with the DMO option. What are the considerations, or what is that I do first, and then what points I need to keep in mind when we're going for upgrade and migrating it? Okay. First thing is pre-install HANA database. When I say this, let's say the sequencing neatly ledu, but points are okay. Let's say you got your BW running on MS SQL Server database, and they ask you to do in-place migration using some. నేను ఫస్ట్ ఎలా అనుకున్నా, మీరు ఎట్లా అనుకున్నా తెలియదు, నేను ఎట్లా అనుకున్నా అంటే when I say DMO and say run migration, I thought SQL Server will get converted as HANA database అనుకున్నా. అదేనా అయ్యేది? అట్లా కాదు. I thought when I say you're migrating the database అంటే వాట్ ఆర్ ద డేటాబేస్ వి హావ్ MS SQL సాఫ్ట్వేర్ అనేది HANA సాఫ్ట్వేర్ లాగా మారిపోద్దేమో అనుకున్నా. అట్లా అవుతుంది? అట్లా కాదన్న. ఓకేనా? దట్ ఈస్ నాట్ మైగ్రేషన్. ఓకే, I thought first like that. మీరే అనుకోలేదు, నాకు తెలుసు. But when you say migration, actual migration is what? You have MS SQL, you want to migrate HANA అంటే ఏంది? You take all the data from MS SQL, put that into HANA database. అది అంతే, సాఫ్ట్వేర్ మారిపోదు కదన్నా. That's what they say, lift and shift the data to HANA database. That's the concept. So let's say I have my BW system running on MS SQL where all the data is in MS SQL. Now I would like to migrate it to HANA. Do I need to do a fresh installation of HANA? ఈ ఎంఎస్ ఎస్క్యూఎల్ నుంచి డేటా అంతా హనాలోకి వేయాలంటే ఫస్ట్ హనా ఇన్స్టాల్ చేసుకోవాలన్నా దట్ ఈస్ వాట్ ద పాయింట్. సో when you look at migrating the existing BW on non-HANA to HANA database, first point would be you look at having existing HANA database installed. That's how when you migrate with DMO అది అడుగుతుంది అన్నట్టు. Do you want to migrate HANA అంటారు. ఎస్ అనగానే it will ask you IP address and HANA database schema name అన్ని అడిగి ఓకే కొడితే it exports this schema, exports this database and creates all the tables and everything into that schema. అంతే. ఇక్కడున్న డేటాబేస్ అంతా దానికి ఎత్తు చాలా సింపుల్ టాపిక్ అన్న. డిబిఎల్ చూపితే అంతేనా అంటాడు అనమాట. కమాండ్ ఎక్స్పోర్ట్ అని కొడితే మొత్తం డేటాబేస్ ఎక్స్పోర్ట్ అవుతుంది. దానిలో ఇంపోర్ట్ కమాండ్ కొడితే మొత్తం ఇంపోర్ట్ అవుతుంది. పెద్ద చేసేది ఏముంది అంటే ఏమంటే డేటాబేస్ డేటా ఎక్కువ ఉంటుంది కాబట్టి కొంచెం టైం పడుతుంది అంతే. ఓకే. సో బిఫోర్ I think about going for migration, you need to have your HANA system installed already because I need to shift the data into that database. Okay. Next one, standard or distributed systems. So for me, if I look at my system, I only have a single application server. Sorry. I have single application server, but in real time, we can have multiple application servers all together as one server bus. Yes, bus. But more sizing లోనే చెప్తారు అప్లికేషన్ సర్వర్స్ 2 4 and how many cores you want అని అప్పుడే సైజింగ్ లోనే చెప్తారు. సో if I'm installing BW with multiple application servers, then it is what distributed system. If it is single application server, it is single అన్నమాట. Okay, so you need to consider based on the bandwidth stress, you need to decide whether it is going to be a distributed system or single system. Distributed, you have one central instance, multiple dialogue అంటే మల్టిపుల్ సిస్టమ్స్ కలిపి ఒక సర్వర్ లాగా రెఫర్ అవుతుంది. ఓకే. నెక్స్ట్, ఇది వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్, జావా స్టాక్. నౌ డూ వీ హ్యావ్ అబాప్ స్టాక్ అండ్ జావా స్టాక్? అంటే in NetViewer you'll have Java programs and you also have what ABAP programs. All browser based on the Java generally, right? Mana web application server ani, right? Mana browser based, you run your reports, that is all running on Java stack only. But see, till BW 7.0 it supports to have Java stack and ABAP stack in single application server. ఒకటే సర్వర్లోనే జావా స్టాక్ అబాప్ స్టాక్ రెండు ఉండొచ్చు. చూడు నా సర్వర్లో ఇది కాదన్నా వేరేది ఉండాలి. సిలబస్ నాకు వేరే జావా సిస్టమ్ ఉంది. యూల్ సీ అంటే ఇక్కడ మన సర్వర్లోనే ఇది మన అబ్బాయి పెట్టుకుంది, అట్లా ఇంకో నోడ్ యూల్ సీ యాజ్ వాట్ జావా అని చూస్తాం. అంటే ఇట్ సేస్ దేర్ ఇస్ సింగిల్ అప్లికేషన్ సర్వర్ విచ్ హస్ గాట్ జావా యాజ్ వెల్ యాజ్ వాట్ అబాప్ స్టాక్ ఇంటూ ఇట్. కానీ బట్ ఫ్రమ్ BW 7.3 లేటెస్ట్ వర్షన్స్ do not support to have Java stack and ABAP stack in single server. It has to be two different applications. That is called dual stack split. So you will install one application server with ABAP stack. You will install one application server with what Java and integrate both. రెండు కలిసి ఒకటే సర్వర్లో ఉండే పాసిబిలిటీ లేదు. So because since you're thinking about upgrading it to the latest version, you should focus on splitting both. So you should configure one application server for Java, one application server for ABAP, then integrate both. ఒకటే దాంట్లో లేదన్నట్టు ఆప్షన్. So that is all handled by basis. You don't have to worry. But next, Unicode conversion. Now, if you look at to have BW HANA, BW must be Unicode compatible. If it is 7.3.5 or 7.0, they are not Unicode compatible. So by using some software, you need to convert them to what? Unicode compatible also. Only then it can have it on HANA. Next, authorizations concept also. If you remember, when I was teaching BW long, when I was creating authorization variable, I used to go to RSSM, create authorization object, then enable authorization object on info provider, then create it to assign it to role. You remember? That is role-based authorizations. But when I'm teaching about authorization variable now, recently in latest versions of 7.4 or 7.3, what we do? We go to our RSec admin and create what? Authorization object, and then straight away assign it to what? User. That is new authorizations. Previously we had role-based authorizations. So if you look at migrating it to 7.4, upgrading it to 7.4 with HANA, you have to migrate your authorizations from role-based authorizations to analysis authorizations. Even that you should consider. So even the roles from role-based authorizations, you need to convert it to what? Analysis authorizations. Then you can also think about once you have your BW running on HANA, one consideration, one points to be noted. Not started the process yet. And once you have your BW running on HANA, you can convert the cubes to HANA optimized cubes. Say you have normal cubes, then when you migrate it to BW on HANA, do you convert your cubes to HANA optimized cubes? You can think about doing it. ఈ పాయింట్ దగ్గర ఒకటి చాలా ఇంప్రెస్ అన్నట్టు this one. Let's say you already have existing multi-prods and info sets, and by using this program RS1_convert IPRO to HCPR, you can convert the existing info sets or multi-prods to composite providers. You don't have to recreate them without affecting your queries. So yeah, the point. One more point is once you migrate it to BW on HANA, you can think about migrating existing cubes to unoptimized cubes. No more unoptimized DSOs, only unoptimized cubes. And you can think about leveraging this program to convert existing multi-prod or info set to unoptimized composite providers. The
queries lo composite provider పేరు కూడా అప్డేట్
మనం queries queries అన్ని will be moved. I'll show you. I'll run the program. You'll copy the queries from that multi-prod to new composite provider. Queries is the multi-prod gets converted as composite provider, and queries also move to the composite provider. అది అడుగుతుంది when you're migrating with query na without anadu. BWA, you know what BW accelerator, which we use it for query performance. But in 7.1 release, we have option where you can create a cube which stores data and accelerator. ఇక్కడ క్రియేట్ ఇన్ఫో క్యూబ్ అన్నప్పుడు దీంట్లో లేదా ఇది అనాలి. ఇది కొద్ది థియరీ ఎక్కువ బట్ ఇంపార్టెంట్. SWPM is actually it's a software. Normally SAP installation ki upgrade అన్నిటికి we use it. Software provisioning manager అంటాం. Say you have kernel, you want to install kernel or ABAP stack, all this. Software provisioning manager is actually software which we use it for installing the SAP applications. You go this, yeah, see you can create a cube which will have persistence in accelerator, not in database. It will create cube అన్నప్పుడు ఇక్కడ చూడు. You're creating a cube here, okay. ఇక్కడ info cube stores its data in database అంటే ఏంది? All the data of your cube is stored into your backend database of BW, and you build indexes on accelerator. అట్లా కాకుండా డేటాను ఎత్తిపోయి accelerator లో పెట్టచ్చు. If I say like this, then what? What is this? Info cube stores its data in what? Accelerator. Okay. So we need to think about these kind of cubes. Let's say you have BW 7.0 or 7.1 with some backend database. Then in this system, you have cubes which is storing data in what? Accelerator. But once HANA comes in, this accelerator is out. Once you migrate a BW system to HANA, BW accelerator is no more connected to BW. Then what will happen to the data of those cubes? You got this point? All cubes same outai. So when you have some cubes which has got data storage and accelerator, once we migrate it to HANA, the data of these cubes are lost, and these queues become inactive. And you should take care about having a correction request where you activate these queues and reload the data to these queues on the underlying DSOs. ఈ పాయింట్ మనకు కొత్తగా అనిపించింది. If you have a cube which is storing data in BW accelerator, because once HANA comes in, accelerator is no more used. Okay, BW accelerator becomes out of scope. Okay, so then what you do is, once the BW system is migrated to HANA, all the queues which stores data in accelerator becomes inactive and they lose data in it. So you need to have a correction transport request which activates these queues and when you activate it becomes normal HANA optimized queue, normal standard queue which stores data in database, and reload the data and data point together from the, if you have underlying DSO, I need to load data into these queues. That's the point. Okay. Next, automation of housekeeping before and after upgrade. You should think about, say, as part of when you do this upgrade and migration, you do certain activities like pre-upgrade, pre-migration, post-upgrade, post-migration. You do a lot of activities. What SAP has done is to simplify this migration process. SAP has given some checklist where the steps can be automated. They have given, SAP has identified the steps to be performed and which can also be automated also. We'll see about that. BW on HANA checklist అని ఒక note ఉంది. As soon as a customer thinks about migrating their BW system to HANA, ఇంతకీ ఇది HANA సరిపోద్దా కాదా? As soon as a customer thinks about migrating their BW system to what? HANA, first of all, I need to check, is my present BW system is compatible to be migrated to HANA or not? Or is it something missing? మొత్తం చెక్ లిస్ట్ అన్నట్టు. ఇట్స్ అబౌట్ హ్యావింగ్ చెక్ లిస్ట్. అండ్ బిఫోర్ మైగ్రేషన్ నా ఉన్న బిల్డ్ సిస్టమ్కి ఇది రెడీగా ఉందా, ఇంకేమైనా మిస్సింగా? ఇఫ్ దిస్ సంథింగ్ మిస్సింగ్, దిస్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ విల్ టెల్ మీ, దిస్ నోట్ విల్ టెల్ మీ. ఓకేనా? ఐ షో యూ వన్. ఇది జిప్పా? ఓకే, అన్జిప్ ఆల్రెడీ ఉంది. ఇది HTML ఫైల్. రన్ అవుతుందన్నా తను ఇట్లా ఇది కలుస్తా ఉంది. హౌ డు ఐ స్టాప్ దిస్? హౌ డు ఐ స్టాప్ దట్? ముజలది కాదు, ఏదో రన్ అవుతాను.
పేపర్స్ పంపిస్తారా చాలా ప్రాసెస్ ఇంటర్నెట్ ఎక్స్ప్లోరర్ పెట్టి స్టార్ట్
ಆಗಿಂದಲೇ okay. See, this I just got this document somewhere like uh, okay. I told you, so as soon as you think about migrating the existing system of BW, first we do a checklist whether the present BW system is fine to be migrated or is it something missing in some components are missing or what. Yeah, this was an when we have and we can achieve that by implementing this node. I'll tell you how to implement that node. But when we implement this node for the some of the existing customer, this was the output. ఒక కస్టమర్కి ఆ నోట్ ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేసి చెక్ లిస్ట్ రన్ చేసినప్పుడు ఇది అవుట్పుట్ అన్నమాట. ఇట్లా అంత ఆపరేటింగ్ సిస్టమ్ ఇస్ ఓకే, ఎగ్జిస్టింగ్ డేటాబేస్ ఇస్ ఓకే, యూనికోడ్కి ఇస్ ఓకే, డ్యూయల్ స్టాక్ నో ఓకే, అంతా ఇట్లా వెళ్తా ఉంటుంది. సో నంబర్ ఆఫ్ మిస్సింగ్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్స్ ఇన్ డేటాబేస్ ఇట్ టెల్స్ యూ దేర్ సమ్ మిస్సింగ్ ఇట్ అవుట్. ఇప్పుడు ఇఫ్ దేర్ సమ్ ప్రాబ్లమ్ హియర్, ఇక్కడ ఏదైనా ఇష్యూ ఉంటే ఇట్ టెల్స్ మీ సీ నోట్ అంటే ఇఫ్ జస్ట్ క్లిక్ దిస్ ఇట్ ఓపెన్స్ అప్ మీ, it will basically tell me if there's some nodes missing out. Either miss అయితే implement this note and the system will propose me what node to be implemented for me, so that my system is ready for to be migrated. ఇక్కడ ఇట్లా వచ్చి చూడు, DB cockpit, DB connection ఇది లేదు అది లేదు అన్నప్పుడు just when ఈ నోట్ అంటుంది, but when you click this details here it will tell me ఏ నోట్ ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేయాలి అన్ని ఇస్తున్నాను. సో ఇట్ గివ్ మీ లిస్ట్ ఆఫ్ లాట్స్ ఆఫ్ నోట్స్ విచ్ నీడ్స్ టు బి ఇంప్లిమెంటెడ్ so that my system is ready for migrations. It's ఇక్కడ ఎర్రర్ వచ్చింది. నంబర్ ఆఫ్ ఇన్కన్సిస్టెంట్ ఎస్ఏప్ నోట్ 15, మొత్తం 15 ఎస్ఏప్ నోట్ లేవు అంటుంది. అంటే ఇట్ వాస్ చెకింగ్ ఫర్ ద రెడీనెస్ ఆఫ్ ది బిల్డ్ సిస్టమ్ ఫర్ మైగ్రేషన్. ద లాట్ ఆఫ్ ఓఎస్ నోట్ మిస్సింగ్ అవుట్. ఇది ఎర్రర్ వచ్చి ఇది క్లిక్ చేస్తే ఆ నోట్ లేపుతుంది అండ్ బేసిస్ పర్సన్ హాస్ టు ఇంప్లిమెంట్ దట్ నోట్స్. దెన్ సిస్టమ్ ఇస్ రెడీ ఫర్ ద మైగ్రేషన్. అంటే ఇంకా ఏమేమి పనులు సిస్టమ్ రెడీ చేస్తే రెడీ అవుతుంది మైగ్రేషన్కి అనేది పాయింట్. ఓకేనన్నా, ఇదేం పెద్ద ఇట్లా చేసుకుంటూ వెళ్తున్నాను. ఎక్కడెక్కడ రెడ్ ఉందో అది క్రిటికల్, ఎల్లో ఈజ్ వార్నింగ్. వాళ్ళు చెక్ చేస్తారు మొత్తం. ఓకే, దిస్ ఇస్ లాగ్ ఆఫ్ ద సిస్టమ్. సరే, వాడు ఏం చేసినాడు, హౌ డిడ్ ఈ గెట్ దట్ అవుట్, హౌ డిడ్ ఈ రన్. సో వాట్ ఎస్ఏప్ has done is they've given some note, and this note will have some ready-made ABAP program delivered to you, and upon running that ABAP program that will show you the system readiness for migration. Okay, if I get into this, if I take this note 1729988, the checklist note. If I go to service marketplace and if I open up this note, మీరు చదువుకోండి పైన అంతా, you read through, and now here look at this. You see some in PDF ఉన్నాయి, and if you want to see more detail on how to run this program, how to run this up, you just open up this ఇది పెద్దగా ఉంది, save. ఇది ఆ చెక్ లిస్ట్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ గురించి ఎలా రన్ చేయాలో చెప్తుంది. ఇఫ్ యూ గో ఓపెన్ దిస్ PDF కూడా చదువుకోండి, జస్ట్ రీడ్ త్రూ దట్. ఓకే, జనరల్ ఇట్ విల్ టెల్ మీ అబౌట్ దట్ నోట్. You have some, itla vasundi, you click on this, you open up this, it does give a pop-up, then you give a note, ఇలా వస్తుంది. అంటే కూడా జస్ట్ అంటే స్క్రీన్ షాట్స్ తో ఎలా ప్రోగ్రామ్ రన్ చేయాలి, హౌ టు ఎక్స్పోర్ట్ ద అవుట్పుట్ టెక్స్ట్, ఇట్ గివ్స్ మీ ఆల్ ది ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ లైక్ దిస్. ఓకే, ఇది PDF. బట్ యాక్చువల్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ ఈజ్ ఇన్ దిస్ నోట్. What is here? Zip file. Now download this. If you go to this zip file and when you unzip it, అక్కడికి వెళ్తాం. 17 to
99.
okay. Now this is, look at this. There's two programs here. One is ZBW HANA checklist 3. If your BW system is 3.x, this is a program. Otherwise, if it is, this is a program. Double click on this. The program. This program. Okay, you just have to program in the copy this ZBW HANA checklist. This is the BW system without HANA. Okay. దీనిలోకి వెళ్ళి ఆల్రెడీ చేసి ఉంటానేమో. ఏం చేసి ఉంటా, ఐ జస్ట్ గేవ్ ద ప్రోగ్రామ్ క్రియేట్ అని చెప్పి ఆ కోడింగ్ అంతా కాపీ చేసుకున్నాను. Control-A, Control-C, Control-V మొత్తం ఐ జస్ట్ కాపీ ద సేమ్ ప్రోగ్రామ్. 1729988 ACC 172 మొత్తం సేమ్ కోడ్ ఐ జస్ట్ కాపీ. ఇదేంటి 3.4 December 2014 సేమ్ కోడ్ కాపీ చేసి కంట్రోల్ అని యాక్టివేట్ దట్ ప్రోగ్రామ్. అండ్ వెన్ యూ రన్ దిస్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ యూ గోంట్ హ్యావ్ దట్ అవుట్. ప్రోగ్రామ్ రన్ చేస్తే నీకు ఏ దానికి చెక్ చేయాలో అడుగుతుంది అన్నట్టు. జనరల్గా ఐ కెన్ సే దిస్ ఇస్ బేస్ అవుట్ చేస్తాడు కానీ, బట్ as an architect you should tell him you have to run this note and then give me the result, so that with that result you know whether my system is ready for migration or not. Now even check gel, should it check general database basics, connections, warehouse, technical content, everything has to be checked. And and I want the checking to be made suitable for which migration. అంటే DMO relevant గా చెక్స్ చేయాలి. And then say mine your target release is 7.3 or నువ్వు 7.4కి వెళ్తావు, ఏ దానికి వెళ్తావు? నా 7.0 అనుకో, you go to 7.4 and then specific document you click చేసి you can see documentation and say what execute. What report? That is what the output I was showing you, and what is the output you get, you can export it to HTML. అట్లా ఎప్పుడైతే there is some customer who approaches me for migration, first I ask him please implement this note and give me the report so that I know ఏం ఇష్యూస్ ఉన్నాయి దాంట్లో, and let him export HTML and he'll give me the HTML. ఆ అవుట్పుట్ నీకు చూపిస్తాను. వేరే కస్టమర్కి ఈ ప్రోగ్రామ్ రన్ చేసి అవుట్పుట్ చూపిస్తాను. సో విత్ దట్ ఐ నో ఈస్ రెడీ నోట్స్ టు బి ఇంప్లిమెంటెడ్ ఫర్ మేకింగ్ ద సిస్టమ్ రెడీ ఫర్ మైగ్రేషన్. ఓకే, నెక్స్ట్ ZBW ABAP అనలైజర్ అని ఇంకో నోట్ ఉంది. అంటే ఏంటంటే once when you have BW running on non-HANA database, ABAP, we can run ABAP on the application server. But the way you start writing ABAP will start differing when it comes to HANA bus. Generally, we select star కొడతాం, but when it comes to HANA, since it is column store, select star is not preferred. For all entries prefer చేయము, అలా ఉందన్నట్టు. So what I'll do, I can use this note and check my ABAP programming in my BW system. What could cause me problems when I go into HANA? You getting what I'm trying to do? When I have my BW system running on non-HANA database itself, I'm checking all my ABAP programs. What needs to be customized when I go back to HANA? And so that with that I can estimate the effort estimation. నేను సిస్టమ్ ప్రాజెక్ట్ స్టార్ట్ చేయకముందు ఎఫర్ట్ ఎస్టిమేషన్కి ఇవన్నీ చెక్ చేస్తాను అన్నమాట. సో ఐ నో హౌ మనీ ఆఫ్ రొటీన్స్ విల్ హ్యావ్ టు చేంజ్, what kind of logic should I start changing and చేయాలి. Okay. So again, when I go to this node also will give you some program through which you implement it and then you start running that program. అట్లా వేరే కస్టమర్కి మనం చేసి ఇది వాంట్ రిపోర్ట్ అంటే వాన్ సిస్టంలో చాలా రొటీన్స్ ఉంది అండ్ వీ రన్ దిస్ ప్రోగ్రామ్, ఇట్ హస్ గివెన్ సమ్ అవుట్పుట్ ఫర్ అస్. ఇవన్నీ అవసరం, ఎక్కడైతే ఎల్లోనో రెడ్ ఉన్నోడు చూసాము సరే. It checks every transformation, you might have written code in transformations, own process types, ఎక్కడ కస్టమర్ ఎగ్జిట్ అన్ని చెక్ చేస్తుంది. చూడు ఎల్లో ఉంది, డైరెక్ట్ కొడతాను చూడు ఏమంటుంది, నువ్వు చదువు. సెలెక్ట్ ఇదంతా రాసినావు అంతా ఓకే. ఏమంటుంది, డేటాబేస్ సెలెక్ట్ రీడింగ్ విత్ ఫర్ ఆల్ ఎంట్రీస్, స్పెసిఫైడ్ డేటాబేస్ ఇంట్ ఫర్ హనా, మిస్సింగ్ ఆర్డర్ బై క్లాస్ అంట. అంటే ఈ సెలెక్ట్ స్టేట్మెంట్ లో నువ్వు యూర్ యూజింగ్ ఫర్ ఆల్ ఎంట్రీస్ అండ్ మేక్ షూర్ ద ఆర్డర్ బై క్లాస్ ఇస్ మిస్సింగ్ అండ్ చెక్ ఇఫ్ ఎక్స్ప్లిసిట్ సార్టింగ్ ఆఫ్ ఎస్క్యూఎల్ క్వెరీ ఇస్ రిక్వైర్డ్ అన్నమాట. అట్లా రీడింగ్ ఫ్రమ్ డిఎస్ రూల్ అట్లా రీడింగ్ అట్లా చెప్తుంది. ఇది ఫర్ ఆల్ ఎంట్రీస్ ఒక ఇష్యూ, సెలెక్ట్ స్టార్ ఒక మేజర్ ఇష్యూ ఉంటుంది. ఇటు స్టార్ పెట్టినాడు మనకు చూడు ఏమంటుంది, రీడింగ్ విత్ ఆల్ ఎంట్రీ, ఇంకోటి రీడింగ్ ఆల్ కాలమ్స్ ఇస్ ఆల్సో ప్రాబ్లం, అట్లా కూడా చేయొద్దు. అంటే ఎగ్జిస్టింగ్ అబాప్ కోడ్లో హనా పోయేసరికి ఎలాంటి ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ వస్తాయి, ఎలాంటి పాయింట్స్ నువ్వు ఫిక్స్ చేయాలి అనేది చెప్తుంది ఈ ప్రోగ్రామ్. ఓకేనా బస్. So I will do just take what is it, how do you get that output? Okay, just take this note. 1847431 is a note. When you open this note, just get down. Then go to PDF untu saduko. In the note 1847431. And just read through this. Just go through that note. It'll tell you how to implement that program, what is this program, how to run that program, and then how to understand that program. It'll tell you all the above customizations required, and then what is it you need to focus on. ఇది ఎలా రన్ చేయాలి చెప్తున్నాడు. ఇంకా కిందికి వెళ్తే ఎలాంటి దానికి ఏమి ఇష్యూ వస్తుంది, ఫర్ మోర్ డీటెయిల్స్ జస్ట్ చెక్ ఇన్ టు దిస్ అని చెప్తాడు. క్రిటికల్ ఫైండింగ్స్, ఎల్ ఇస్ ఓకే అండ్ రెడ్ ఇస్ మోర్ క్రిటికల్. ఇష్యూస్ ఇలా ఉంటాయి, జస్ట్ కరెన్సీ కన్వర్షన్ ప్రాబ్లం ఇవన్నీ ఉంటే యూ కెన్ జస్ట్ గెట్ ఇన్ హెల్ప్. ఇంకా దీని నుంచి మళ్ళీ గెట్ ఇన్ డీటెయిల్ డాక్యుమెంటేషన్, జస్ట్ రీడ్ త్రూ. సో దిస్ విల్ గివ్ యూ మోర్ డీటెయిల్ అండర్స్టాండింగ్ ఆఫ్ హనా అబాప్. అంటే అబాప్ లో హనా ఎలా ఉండాలి, ఈ నోట్ చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్. అబాప్ అండ్ హనా డాక్యుమెంట్, అబాప్ అండ్ డెవలపింగ్ బిడబ్ల్యూ ఆన్ ఎస్ఏపి హనా. So this will tell you more ABAP standards towards what HANA database cannot. చూడు చెప్తాను, డేటాబేస్ ఎర్రర్ సెలెక్ట్ స్టార్ పెట్టకూడదు, అలాంటి దానిలో ఏం చేయాలి, వాట్ ఈస్ దట్ యూ నీడ్ టు డూ, డైనమిక్ ఎస్క్యూఎల్. జస్ట్ రీడ్ త్రూ దిస్ నోట్ విచ్ విల్ టెల్ యూ, అంటే ఫర్ ఆల్ ఎంట్రీస్ ఉంటే ఏం చేయాలి, వాట్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ ఇష్యూస్ ఉంటాయి, దానికి ఏ దానికి ఎట్లా ఫిక్స్ చేయాలో చెప్తాను. ఓకేనా బస్. అండ్ when you go to this note, the HANA checklist. మళ్ళీ దీని ఇంకో జిప్ ఫైల్ ఉంది. జస్ట్ క్లిక్ ఆన్ దిస్ జిప్ ఫైల్ అండ్ డౌన్లోడ్ దిస్ జిప్ ఫైల్. If it is 3.5 BW, then this is the program. If it is 7, this is the program. Now double click. Well, the program is service. Again, you have to create a program with this naming what? Implement this note and ఈ నోట్ ఇచ్చిన ప్రోగ్రామ్ ని క్రియేట్ చేయాలి. ZBW ABAP Analyzer. In SC38, you create an executable program, ZBW ABAP Analyzer. లేదనుకో అప్పుడే చేస్తావు. విల్ సే క్రియేట్, కాపీ ద సేమ్ కోడ్, కంట్రోల్ A, కంట్రోల్ C, కంట్రోల్ పేస్ట్ ఇట్ అండ్ దెన్ యాక్టివేట్. మొత్తం ఆల్రెడీ పేస్ట్ చేసి పెట్టాం. అండ్ దెన్ ఇఫ్ యూ సే రన్, you want to check project chains and transformation, disable transfer rules, update rules అన్ని ఇది చెక్ బాక్స్ ఎనేబుల్ కాలే. See, you can have coding in project chains, transformations, transfer rules. I want to check transfer rules, update rules, project chains, మొత్తం అన్ని APD. Because in all the places you can write coding, right? You can write code in process chains, IP, integrated planning, or APD, process chains, everything to be checked. కొట్టడానికి మొత్తం అన్ని దానిలో, అన్ని ట్రాన్స్ఫర్మేషన్లు అన్ని దానిలో కోడింగ్ చెక్ చేసి మొత్తం రిపోర్ట్ ఇస్తుంది. కొత్తగా మనం ఒక ఎక్స్పర్ట్ రొటీన్ రాసినాం, సెలెక్ట్ స్టార్ కస్టమర్, సెలెక్ట్ స్టార్ ప్రోడక్ట్. అది ఆ సిస్టమ్ రాసాం అనుకుంటా. బట్ ఉంటే దీంట్లో అక్కడ ట్రాన్స్పోర్ట్ చేసి ఉంటానులే. మనది ప్రాసెస్ చేయడం అవసరం లేదు. దీంట్లో ఏమంటుంది, ఎగ్జిట్ అండర్స్కోర్ ఎస్ఏపీలో అది వాడే బదులు ఈ ఇంప్లిమెంట్ వాడారు. రికమెండ్ బ్యాడీ డేటా సోర్స్ ఎన్హాన్స్మెంట్స్కి నువ్వు ఇలా వాడా బ్యాడీస్ వాడండి అట్లా చెప్తుంది అన్ని. యూ కెన్ హ్యావ్ టు డూ దట్. నాకు క్లాస్ చేయను కాదు, కాంట్రాక్ట్ చూడన్నా. సెలెక్ట్ స్టార్ పెట్టినావు ఫర్ ఆల్ ఎంట్రీస్, ఆర్డర్ సేమ్. నాకు కూడా అది వార్నింగ్స్ వస్తున్నాయి అట్లా. ఓకే, that's one. Next, database sizing. Okay, we should also have some information about, let's say you want to migrate it to HANA database. So I told you before you migrate, you need to do a fresh installation of HANA database. So if you need to install HANA database, do you need to do sizing? అంటే ఎన్ని కోర్స్ ఉండాలి, ఎన్ని ర్యామ్, బేసిక్గా మెయిన్లీ డిసైడ్ అబౌట్ కోర్స్ అండ్ ర్యామ్. ఐ విల్ షో ఆ సిస్టమ్ ఎక్కడ ఉందో నాకు తెలియదు, మీకు చూపిస్తానని చెప్పి మీరు అన్ని ఓపెన్ వద్దులే, నా మెయిల్ మళ్ళీ ఎత్తుకుతా. టుమారో ఐ విల్ షో యూ దట్ హౌ SAP గివ్స్ యూ అబౌట్ సైజింగ్. బట్ రెండు ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్, హౌ మెనీ సర్వర్స్ యూనిట్ హ్యావ్, హౌ మెనీ కోర్స్, ర్యామ్ ఇస్తాడు, ఇంకా అది పెంచుకుంటే నీ ఇష్టం అంటాడు అన్నట్టు. దట్స్ అంటే అది మీడియంస్కి వాళ్ళు కూడా ఎట్లా చేస్తుంటే దే అండర్స్టాండ్ మినిమం సైజింగ్ ఆఫ్ ద డేటా హౌ మచ్ దే వాంట్, దాన్ని బట్టి దే కమ్అట్ విత్ సమ్ ఫార్ములా ఉంటుంది. ఇంత ర్యామ్ అని లెక్కేసుకుంటారు. వన్స్ దే డిసైడ్ అబౌట్ ర్యామ్, దెన్ దే డిసైడ్ వెదర్ ఇట్ ఇస్ XL, XXL, స్మాల్, సేమ్ టీషర్ట్ టైప్ ఉంటుంది. సో కానీ బట్ బిఫోర్, ఇప్పుడు నా క్వశ్చన్ ఏమంటే, హౌ డు యూ నో హౌ మచ్ సైజ్ ఆఫ్ డేటాబేస్ ఆర్ యూ గోయింగ్ టు స్టోర్? హనాలో ఇంత డేటాబేస్ సైజ్ పెడతాను చెప్తే నేను దాన్ని బట్టి ఎంత సైజ్ ర్యామ్ తీసుకోవాలా, ఎంతనే ఒక్కసారి ర్యామ్ దొరికిందంటే దాన్ని బట్టి డిస్క్ యూస్ అన్నీ వచ్చేస్తాయి. సో హౌ విల్ ఐ నో ఎంత ఎంత డేటా పెడతావు హనా, లైక్ అంటే హౌ కెన్ ఐ క్యాలిక్యులేట్ ద సైజ్ ఆఫ్ ద డేటాబేస్? It's not a new system, right? You already have BW up and running. With that, can I calculate what is the existing size of the database, and based on that, I helps me to calculate that. And then based on that, you have to install that server and install the HANA database. ఇది అర్లీ వచ్చేమో వస్తుంది. సైజ్ కూడా ఉందన్న, ఐ షో యూ. This was the sizing what they did. Notepad లో వద్దులే, Excel. ఇప్పుడు ఏంది ఇది /b/s అంటే ఏంది ఎస్ఐ టేబుల్, ఇది పిఎస్సి అన్ని ఒక్కొక్క టేబుల్కి సైజ్ ఎంత ఉంది, దానికి ఒక్కొక్క టేబుల్ టైప్ సైజ్ తీసుకొస్తుంది. అండ్ ఇఫ్ ఐ క్యాల్కులేట్ దిస్ సైజ్, ఒక్కొక్క టేబుల్ లెవెల్లో ఒక్కొక్క టేబుల్ సైజింగ్ ఇస్తుంది. దీంట్లో ఇఫ్ యూ కెన్ ఫిల్టర్, సార్ట్ అండ్ దెన్ ఫైండ్ ద మేజర్ వన్స్, అండ్ ఇఫ్ యూ కెన్ ఎలిమినేట్ దోస్ అంతా వేసుకుంటే అప్పుడు నీకు సైజ్ క్యాల్కులేట్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. ఇది ఒక ఆప్షన్. ఇంకొక ఆప్షన్ ఉందన్న, అండ్ ఫర్ దిస్ యూ ఇంప్లిమెంట్ వన్ నోట్. ఇది ఈ నోట్కి ఇఫ్ యూ 17369 ఇది నోట్ ఓపెన్ చేస్తే ఏం చేస్తుంది మళ్ళీ టు చెక్ సైజ్. దిస్ ఇస్ అబౌట్ టు చెక్ హౌ మచ్ సైజ్, అంటే how much, see, two questions: what is the sizing of HANA, or what is the present size of your database? Two things are same, questions are different, but ultimately same. What is the size of my existing database? That's what I'm trying to focus for my target HANA database also. You get to this note, and if you get in and you see this PDF, if you just get into PDF what to be implemented, it helps me to do all this. Am program run cheyalannattu I know that is ఇది దిస్ అ ప్రోగ్రామ్ /sdf/hana బిడల్ సైజింగ్ అని 1736976 అండ్ యాక్చువల్ ఆ పీడిఎఫ్ ఓపెన్ చేస్తే నీకు అదే చెప్తుంది ఈ ప్రోగ్రామ్ రన్ చేయడం. దిస్ ఇస్ ద యాక్చువల్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ /sdf/hana_biddle_sizing అని కొడితే నీ దాంట్లో ఉంటుంది. కొడితే దాంట్లో అడుగుతుంది యాక్చువల్ వెన్ యూ రన్ ద ప్రోగ్రామ్ క్లాస్ క్యూ ప్రజెంట్ సైజు ఎన్ని ఇయర్స్ కి సైజింగ్ 5 నెక్స్ట్ అంటే ఇట్స్ లెట్స్ ఇది 100 GB అనుకో, మై టార్గెట్ HANA ఆల్సో 100 GB పెడితే మరి రేపు పొద్దున ఇంకో 5 ఏళ్ళు నెక్స్ట్ టైం ఇప్పుడు సరిపోతుంది మన ఫ్యూచర్ కి. సో అప్పుడు మనకు 100 GB ప్లస్ ఫ్యూచర్ 5 years కన్సిడర్ చేసుకుంటూ లెట్స్ సే డేటాబేస్ సైజ్ ఇస్ ఇంక్రిమెంటింగ్ బై 20% ఎవ్రీ ఇయర్ ఆన్ ఇయర్ గ్రోత్ 20% అనుకుంటే ఇంత సైజింగ్ కావాలి 200 GB అట్లా దే క్యాల్కులేట్ లైక్. See, when you run this program, అంటే ప్రోగ్రామ్ ఎట్లా రన్ చేయాలంటే ఆ నోట్లో పీడిఎఫ్ ఇచ్చింటాడు. జస్ట్ ఇఫ్ యూ రన్ దిస్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ అడుగుతుంది సైజింగ్ .txt అనే సైజింగ్ లెక్క వెళ్ళాలి. కన్సిడర్ గ్రోత్ ఎన్ని ఇయర్స్ కన్సిడర్ చేసుకోవాలనుకున్నా 5 years, గ్రోత్ కన్సిడర్ గ్రోత్ పర్సంటేజ్, గ్రోత్ వాల్యూ ఎంత ఉంటుంది ఇదంతా బేసిస్ అలా. బట్ స్టిల్ యూ యూజ్ దిస్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ అండ్ రన్ చేసినప్పుడు ఏమైనా మొత్తం డేట్ ఇట్లా వస్తుంది అన్నట్టు. చూడ క్యూబ్స్ కి మొత్తం ఇంత సైజు, డిఎస్ఓస్ కి ఇంత సైజు, చేంజ్ లాగ్ పిఎస్ఎల్ కి ఇంతనే. బట్ ఇంకా ఇఫ్ చాలా పెద్ద స్క్రీన్, ఇఫ్ యూ గో డౌన్ ఒక్కొక్క టేబుల్ వైజ్, నాకు ఎక్సెల్ బయటలు చూసిన టేబుల్ వైజ్ సైజ్ చూపిస్తుంది. దెన్ దాంట్లో నువ్వు అన్వాంటెడ్ అన్ని తీసేసి దెన్ ఎగ్జాక్ట్ సైజ్ ఎంత అని క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేసుకున్న తర్వాత దెన్ యూ విల్ సే ఓకే దిస్ ఇస్ మై సైజ్ రిక్వైర్డ్. ఓకేనా? అండ్ ఆ సైజ్ వచ్చిన తర్వాత దెన్ దే యూజ్ దిస్ ఫార్ములా. యాక్చువల్లీ ఇక్కడ చూస్తే నీట్గా చెప్తాను బస్ ఏంది రో స్టోర్కి ఎంత కావాలా అప్రాక్సిమేట్ 10 GB, ఫర్ కాలమ్ స్టోర్కి ఎంత కావాలా ఒక 5 GB, మొత్తం 15 GB అని అడుగుతాను కదా. ఇక్కడ ఒక ఫార్ములా ఉంటుంది అనమాట. కాలమ్ స్టోర్ సైజ్ ఎంత అనేది 5 GB, 5 into 2/4 అంటే 10/4 ఇస్ వాట్ 2.5 GB ప్లస్ రో స్టోర్ ఎంత బస్ 10 divided by 1.5 అంటే అప్రాక్సిమేట్లీ 1.5 ఆఫ్ ఇట్ ఎంతో లేదు రెండు యాడ్ చేసి ప్లస్ 50 ప్లస్ గ్రేస్ 50 GB వేసుకుంటాను. ఇది వన్ ఫార్ములా. సో ఇదేంది 2/4 ఏంది ఊరి మ్యాక్స్ ఏంది 2/4 అంటే ఏంటంటే మన లాజిక్ ఏంటంటే మొత్తం కాలమ్ స్టోర్కి ఎంత కావాలనుకున్నాం 5 GB. సో టు లిటరలీ టు స్టోర్ దట్ 5 GB డేటా యూ నీడ్ 5 GB స్టోర్. suppose assume that there is some query which is reading all this 5 GB of data. So to play on the temporary, again you need some 5 GB of storage space to play on temporary memory. 5 GB physical memory వల్ల 5 GB టెంపరీ మెమరీ స్పేస్ అంటే మొత్తం డబుల్ చేసి ఇంటూ 2 అంటే డబుల్ చేస్తున్నాడు. 5 GB అడిగితే 10 GB చేసుకుని మళ్ళీ డివైడ్ బై 4 అంటే ఏంటంటే కంప్రెషన్ రేట్. As per the research in SAP labs, when you move the data into HANA, it is compressed to 4 times, 1/4 of it. Minimum. There will be a case more than that. It depends on source database. If source database is already compressed, then you may not get so much of results. If it is not compressed a lot, then you get. So into 2 doubling the size and compressing it to 4 times of 1/4 anukuni, just taking only 2.5 GB from there. And for row store, it's just dividing it by 1.5, just considering only 1.5 of that ratio. And then 50 GB grace వేసుకుని ఒక సైజింగ్ తీసుకుంటాడు. సో ఇంత ర్యామ్ కావాలన్నాను. బికాస్ మై స్టోరేజ్ వుడ్ బి ఇన్ ర్యామ్ రైట్ ఇన్ HANA. ఇంత ర్యామ్ అంటారు, దాన్ని బట్టి ఇంకా ఎక్సెల్ డబుల్ ఎక్సెల్ ఎత్తేస్తాం. అదొక కాన్సెప్ట్. ఓకే ఓకే clear on this point. And next, one more checklist I would do is let's say you know about what is Bex queries. Yeah. So what you're going to do is you have got Bex running on 7.0. Now you got to upgrade to what? 7.4 or whatever it is. There might be some features of Bex which are not supported in 7.4. When you calculate before aggregation an option could be problem. So by implementing this note, sorry, ఈ నోట్ 1911 ఈ నోట్ ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేస్తే తెలుస్తుంది. దాన్ని అర్థం చేసుకోవాలంటే ఈ నోట్ అంటే దాన్ని ఇచ్చే ఎర్రర్స్ అర్థం చేసుకోవాలంటే ఆ నోట్ వాడాలి 22050107. So with this, what you do, when I implement this note, it will check all the Bex queries and tells me this Bex query has this problem. Ante there is a functionality, there is a property or functionality used in this query which is not supported in 7.4. So well, before migrating itself, I'll fix up those issues. Malli ఏ ఇష్యూకి ఏ ప్రాబ్లంకి ఏం ఇష్యూ ఫిక్స్ చేయాలంటే ఈ నోట్. For example, if you see ఇది SAP query checklist ను వాడు రన్ చేసాడు. చూడేమంటుంది ఇన్ఫో ప్రోడర్ ఇది calculate key figure and this is a query you are using. We turn it queries using formulas. What does it says? Before aggregation and query could not and కొన్ని queries issues ఉన్నాయి. Basically before aggregation అనేది major issue on it. Okay, so then to solve that problem, ఇది ఏం చేసి ఈ నోట్ just take this note first. So just to know, say in my present BW system, what are the Bex queries we have? Are these Bex queries using any of the features which will not be supported when you go to 7.4? దానికి ఈ నోట్ ఊనంటే పోతే కిందకి మళ్ళీ దీనికి ఒక tell you what to do. ఇది ఏంది ఒక్కొక్క వర్షన్కి ఒక్కొక్క నోట్ ఇచ్చాడు. జస్ట్ ఓపెన్ ద రిలవెంట్ నోట్, దాంట్లో కోడింగ్ ఉంటుంది, ఇంప్లిమెంట్ దట్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ అండ్ రన్ దట్. నెక్స్ట్ ఆ ఫిక్సింగ్ గురించి చెప్తాడు, ఆ క్యాలిక్యులేట్ బిఫోర్ అగ్రిగేషన్ ఇష్యూ గురించి చెప్తాడు. ఇది నోట్. సో సిబి అంటే ఏంది? క్యాలిక్యులేట్ బిఫోర్ అగ్రిగేషన్. దెన్ యూజ్ దిస్ ఫార్ములా కంటెంట్ డిస్కంటిన్యూడ్ ఫీచర్ ఫార్ములా. వాట్ ఇస్ దిస్? అగ్రిగేషన్ ఏం చేయాలి? హౌ డు యూ సాల్వ్ దిస్ అని జస్ట్ యూజ్ దట్. ఇది రిపోర్ట్ SAP query checker అని ఇదే ఆ నోట్. వెన్ యూ రెఫర్ టు దోస్ నోట్స్, దిస్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ యూ కెన్ వెన్ యూ గెట్ టు ప్రోగ్రామ్ యూ రన్ దిస్. అన్ని క్వెరీస్ చెక్ చేసి ఏ క్వెరీలో ఏ విషయం చెప్తున్నాడు. జస్ట్ రీడ్ త్రూ దట్. So only after doing all this, I will get to some understanding. Okay, present system ఎలా ఉంది, ఏమేమి ఇష్యూస్ ఉన్నాయి, ఏం క్వెరీస్ లో what kind of activities should I do in querying side, ABAP customizations, converting 3-point expose aduguta. Do we have 3-point expose then now? Do I need to migrate the flows to 7? Because when you go to HANA, we prefer migrating it to what? 7. దానిలో బట్టి I would have how much kind of work do I need to do as part of BW consultant, then I estimate on that. ఇది considerations. This point should be kept in mind before we start up the migration. This is about sizing. You run this program and we'll start. Now I'll stop it here. Tomorrow we'll start continuing. Okay. Considering all these points, how do we do the migration? What nodes do we implement? Which node gives you what, pre, post, and then we'll see tomorrow. Okay, boss? And I'm just explaining you things. There is one interview which I've recorded, which was purely on this. What OT question? Tell me step by step how do you migrate? Having all this knowledge, I've explained him in some way. You just take that. I think that should be fine. Okay. I'm stopping it. See, since explaining it is taking some time, but when you're answering, you don't get into this detail. Note number చెప్తే మనకు అర్థం అయిపోవాలి అంతే. Okay. But I don't say go to this node, download that zip file, download create atlanum, implement this note antam. So you should understand. Okay, was fine. So that should not take so much time. Okay. Thanks. We'll continue tomorrow. Was fine.